Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is the first part of What If Subaru had Gojo's abilities. If you guys want to see more of this kind of content, comment down below. And let me know. The like goal for this video is 200 likes, so like this video to let me know that you're interested in this series and you want the next part. Go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel before we start. Please support for more awesome content and don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. Let's start this video.
Chapter 1 Stars Birth. At the entrance of the underground level of a Tombs of the Star corridor, hurried steps can be heard. A frantic young man with spiky black hair means Sanpaka heterochromia eyes, ordinary brown, the other vibrant light blue eye clear as a sky. His face faces an emotion of utter shame and anguish. How can this be happening? The boy thought as he tried to steady his uneasy breath. I can't fail, not again. I must warn them, Rico. I have to figure out how to warn them, Ghetto. The contract killer is still alive. You have to. Ancho of a gunshot shakes his entire soul. His eyes widened as a silhouette of a girl in the distance dropped to the ground. Rico? Am you beat? It's all my fault. You're too late, brat. A cruel figure steps out of the shadow. Bastard. A black-haired teen charges with a fist enveloped in cursed energy. Hey, finally decided to join your brother, I see. It would have been wiser to just run away, Toji says as he easily steps aside. You have no right to mention my Oni-sama, scum. A boy shouts in frustration as none of his fury of attacks lands a single hit. Honestly, what did you expect to achieve, brat? The monster of a man mocks as he guides his bladeless effortlessly into the boy's shoulder. Clenching his teeth, he swats the assassin's upward hands and kicks him away for some breathing room. I have to act fast. Any missteps will cost me my life. Grunting, the student pulled out a knife, and as he finally got it with cursed energy, his gaze was murderous. Quick thinking on claiming my weapon, I'll give you that. But I think I'll retrieve it in a second. And true to his word, just after 5 seconds of effortless dodging, blocking, and deflecting, the sorcerer butcher manages to position the novice's hand in such a way that despite the teenager's grip on the dagger, the blade's edge was dangerously close to his left brown eye. Dropping the knife is not an option. He will just drive it through with his open palm hand he keeps on the handle. Hey. The hair of the assassin dropped over his front side as he scoffs at his pathetic squirming. Struggling to overpower the much more physically trained powerhouse, the mean-eyed youth tries to trash him with a few knee punches to the ribs and tilting his head to the side. Auuggggghhhhhh. My eye. The stronger one still manages to guide his knife back to the target, but his hand is blocked before any more damage is done. Somehow the desperate high schooler manages to kick the highly barehanded 11 again. That should teach you not to take what doesn't belong to you. Stop joking around, fucker, and here I thought you would be grateful to me for getting rid of your birth defect. Smiling with his scarred mouth, the assassin sighs, feigning compassion. Aren't Gojo households all about strength? Freak, he's desperately trying to keep his facade, trying to overcome his opponent by sheer determination alone with the fury of kicks and punches, but in his mind, this is not good. I am still fresh out of the hospital, not to mention the stab wounds I received by shielding Oni-sama. Where is Ghetto? Damn it. Searching for your friend, he's busy holding that stupid dying bitch. The absence made Flesh dodge as if he were avoiding a child's tantrum. Crap, my punches are sluggish. He's toying with me now. Stab, stab, stab. Left lung, liver, right leg. I knew 2 on 1 could be troublesome, so I made sure I'd hit just the right spot on that girl. The boy slumps against the wall, glaring at the man, who in turn meaningfully looks at his blade. Now that I think about it, I might just take a trophy from you and your brother, scoffs as he nears the blade to the defeated one's neck. You know, to bring 2 brotherly heads together. Out of spite, as his last defying act, the high schooler spits blood in his face. TCH, so vulgar, the sorcerer killer arches his hand up to strike him. Preparing for the strike, Subaru closes his eyes. Damn it, a roar of a monster interrupts it, however. And utter destruction follows. Whoops, time's out. See ya later, kid, he winks, and a fight with Ghetto ensues. Damn it, I'm still so useless. Tired, so tired. There was not a single drop of energy left. The only reason why the boy doesn't feel the fatigue is because he has grander things to worry about. Not a single scratch on him, yet in so much pain. Breathing is painful, it's irritating, this scratching feeling, as if there was a rat or some other creature lodged in his chest. scratching and clawing its way out, detesting every breath that is taken out of fear. You would think that keeping it short and shallow would appease the intruder, but merely existing puts unbearable stinging pressure as if some alien is trying to push itself out. Useless, 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 I love you, asterisk, huh? Dropping on his ass, he coughs more blood. I guess this is it, I love you. It's difficult. It's annoying. If there wasn't an overwhelming fear, a prayer would be sent so that this torture could be over soon. God, I'm such a letdown, it's all my fault. Wet and sticky, hot and cold, delirious even. Are you joking? Is this my purpose? I love you, whistling, purring, bubbling, growling, popping, hissing. It should not be possible for his lungs to create such sounds. Indeed, those were the unnatural sounds of battle between air and viscous liquid. A struggle for dominance inside the teenager's vital organ and the new forcefully opened orphan, the connection between the external and internal, to be nothing but a nuisance, a blemish upon the world. Pain, pain, yet even that seems to lose its meaning. I couldn't even keep my promise, Oni-sama, I adore you. Now I'm hallucinating the voices of a maiden in love. Just how pathetic can I be? Pain is the only proof of still living, but even that seems to slip his grasp. If only he could grab onto something, even if it's just more pain, but my vision is hazy. The scenery of a colorful street in midday phased in and out with the dark mind-numbing corridor. I don't want to die, I adore you, the same voice whispers loudly inside his head. Huh? Subaru stands up, checking his person. No wounds, no bandages, no tears on my clothing. My phone, a wallet, and Satoru Oni-sama's glasses. Subaru shakes his head. No, this emotion is dangerous. I have to affirm my surroundings. He instinctively closes his right eye to observe with his weaker eye, but strange, I can see equally good. He whips out his phone and takes a picture of himself. Black hair. But my eyes are both blue somehow. My eyes are straining. He slides the glasses on. Funny how Oni-sama demanded to have his both glasses tinted despite having only 1/6 eye just like me. He said it's because he wanted to share them with me. HMH, my cheeks are wet all of a sudden. Wiping the wet area on the cheek and his nose with his hands, he calms his breathing. Shit, I need to focus. The architecture here is middle-aged Europe. There are not just humans but beast folk too. There are advertising boards, but I can't read the language. Raven, a black-haired youth, shortly reveals his blue eyes once again. There is surprisingly not a lot of cursed energy on average. There is this light in the atmosphere, a few stray larger clumps of light that have a flight pattern. Well, that's a bit generous, since they behave like flies. There is light inside people too. I can see cores with red, blue, green, and yellow hues. Wait, there is a white one, and a black one. They also vary in size, I guess. Oh, you can have multiple colors too. What about me? He looks down to see a pretty decently sized black mass. That wasn't there before. Still can't see cursed energy or those lights in me. Everyone except me, huh? Well, it was expected. I guess. Sounds of screams and cries for help shake him from a stupor. There was a carriage with a lizard thing? They were speeding toward a child on the ground. Now our protagonist wasn't as gifted of a sorcerer as his twin brother, who already had infinity. He learned cursed amplification, blue, falling blossom emotion, domain amplification, and should he witness a simple domain once, it too would instantly become Satoru's tool toward the peak of Jujutsu. The only thing Satoru's twin had going for him was that this young man's physique was thoroughly more defined. Whether it was the effort he put in it to desperately try to catch up to his brother or he inherited a better musculature, or perhaps even both, he could care less about. All that mattered at this moment was closing the distance. And he did exactly that. To the eye of ordinary persons, maybe you could discern the starting and ending points of his movement, but the rest was a blur at best. Subaru was, for the first time in his life, reaching the far edge of subsonic speed. He picked the child in a princess carry and with much less speed, but still haste ran back. Wow, I seem faster than before, much more than what I'm used to. The grandmother of a child put haste in her steps to the two, with tears visible on her cheeks, and an emotion of distraught jubilation. Thank you so much for saving my grandchild. Glad I was on time. Please, take this as compensation. Subaru held both his palms toward the man. Please ma'am, I can't accept this nonsense. Without your heroism I could have lost my precious boy. Relenting, he nods at the old lady, and takes the pouch. Thank you, and please take care in the future. Subaru politely bows and heads his way. After gaining sufficient distance he checks his new reward, 5 gold coins? It seems the currency I brought here won't work. Also, thank Buddha, we speak the same language. Sigh. What do I do now? I guess I could go for a snack to get my brain going again. Our lost hero spots a rough-looking green-haired fruit seller. Tilting his head just enough to see the man without the black-tinted glasses, judging how he makes a humble living in a medieval society. I guess this hair color is natural. Oi, kid. Quit staring, are you going to buy or what? Excuse me. How many apples can I buy for one of these? Are joking, right? I don't have that many appas. Appas, huh? Well, I guess I should have expected some language inconsistencies. 1 bag then. He goes into the alleyway and lies down on the pavement peacefully biting on a surprisingly sweet appa. 19 silver coins and 16 copper coins. Well, that explains the currency. My guess is each class requires 20 of the lower kind. It could be higher, but it would be troublesome to carry around all that metal. That nice old lady gave me 5 of the really expensive ones. I guess I should be covered for food for at least a week or 2, not including shelter. Which would be my next concern. I guess I could go homeless for a while, until I get a job, and work my way up. Cough up. Everything you've got and we might let you live. A pitiful trio presents themselves. A bob-haired midget, a pirate-looking giant with locks, and an anorexic prisoner. Peeved. What is up with those get-ups? You look like the start of a dumb bar joke, or street jester performance. Who do you think you're talking to, punk? I think the idiot wants us to cut off his tongue. Subaru rolls from lying to a sitting position. Look guys. A lot of bad stuff happened to me today. I have squandered all my savings on this last meal, and I don't have anything on my person. Could you please just let this one slide? Out of my way? A winded yet jubilant voice announced itself from a little blonde girl, tilting his head to see better. Her aura is somehow different. Hey, little girl, are you the one who is responsible for bringing me to this plane of existence? Her crimson eyes locked onto the boy with strange glasses. The plane of existence? I don't know what you are talking about. Shame. I need some answers right about now. She flashed her fanged smirk. Anyways, I have to go. Live strong. And she leapt up the building while lovingly admiring a very particular slightly glowing badge. Subaru could see it with his 6 eyes, and he memorized such a piece of information as a funny little quirk of a poor girl. It wasn't that important compared to what occupied his curiosity. And that was, that greenish aura helps with her mobility. If I had to guess how it works, it is a superconductor or perhaps a lightning rod for wind and air. It stores for later use, and then releases on contact when her legs are in contact with any surface. In a friendly tone, the spiky-haired youth slowly turns his head toward his new companions. Did you guys change your minds, and soften your hearts for such a charming display? It rained on our parade and made it worse. Ha, parade. You guys crack me up. Chuckling at the stand-up comedy routine from the 3 buffoons, our dark-themed protagonist goes to grab his bag of appa. Here you can have the rest of my meal. The pale one flicks his abnormally long tongue. That's right, now strip down, and howl like a dog. Sigh. I guess there's no other choice. He gets up from the ground and takes a fighting stance. Come on, give it your best shot. This guy's lost it. Let's end this fool. The snake-tongue guy draws his blades. Fixing his glasses, not even acknowledging them as threats, our dark blue uniformed student chuckles to himself. You think weapons give you an advantage? Don't regret it later. The bob-haired dwarf speaks with a noisy tone. The nerve on this guy. Stop right there. A feminine voice rings out, and Subaru, after lowering his glasses, stares in bewilderment. Seriously? Seriously, what the hell? This much curse energy does not fit the description at all. And look at her core, it's a massive red. Besides, she is practically glowing. Not to mention, what is this ominous aura around her necklace? Her body is super strong too. Desperate for any clue to his circumstances, Subaru decides to give his last best bet. Aha. It must be you who has transferred me, there is no other explanation. Halting in her pursuit of thieves, a very shining white girl stammers with her bell-like voice. Transferred? I have no idea what you are talking about. The silver-haired girl shakes her head. Opening her amethyst eyes wide, she speaks with a commanding tone. I must ask, if you stole my insignia, please give it back. Disappointed, the tall teen adjusted his glasses back. If you're talking about that dark pendant thingy with a gem, a blonde-haired girl with red eyes and shabby clothes was holding onto it. Yeah, she jumped on the roofs and ran for it. Subaru points a thumb behind himself, pouting. The girl dressed in white with purple outlines whines. Oh shucks, I missed her again. Caught off guard by the maiden's vocabulary, The lost youth couldn't help but apply the teasing tone. Who tells, shucks, in this day and age? Rushing past the backstreet meeting of the four fated unfortunate acquaintances, the girl expressed her gratitude. Thanks for the information, boy in strange clothes. I have to catch up quickly. Hey, it seems you are finally out of luck, punk. Ignoring the words of a dreadlock strongman, the student, completely unbothered by apparent peril, smiles to himself in tender contemplation. Damn, she's cute. And so unique and interesting. I would love to help her out if I wasn't preoccupied with these three bozos. Well, if she's going to leave, however, I cannot overlook this up. The most unexpected of allies shoots icicle warning shots. The musclehead vocalizes his threat first, to regain the intimidation factor. Hey, what the hell are you doing, butting in like that, you wench? Yeah, it's three of us and only two of you. The old child raises its tone in false bravado. Shall we make that 3-on-3 then? A cat springs out of nowhere. The one most confident with his seemingly imposing figure turns around first to escape. She's a spirit user. It's not worth it. Looking at the retreating figures, a soft smile gives rise to genuine sweet thoughts. I guess my main heroine is kind-hearted too. While feigning relief, speaks out. Thanks a lot there, you saved me, but don't misunderstand, it was compensation for information. Not wanting to waste the opportunity to get acquainted with such kind-hearted beauty, he scratches his head. You say that, but this transaction is not equivalent at all. Please let me repay you. Maybe I can help you out, jog my memory for more information, and find her quicker. The silver-haired girl looks uneasy, and right as she is about to decline, a flying cat interrupts her. I think you should let him. I don't sense any malice from him. But, in any case, he can serve as a meat shield for my daughter. That's quite harsh, father. Subaru did not need to act disturbed by the flying rat-colored cat. However, this fear was for an entirely different reason. Ho ho, I will never let my daughter take the hand of someone with such suspicious-looking eyes. Fair point. Subaru readjusts his black glasses closer, easing his tired eyes. That cat's appearance is disturbingly misleading. Who is this girl? Ever since that cat appeared, he had to put in a grave effort to stay composed and stifle his terror. The downside of having the 6 eyes is that you are constantly being made aware of the truth and potential danger. Honestly, you too, I have no idea what you are talking about. The sharp-eyed boy was shaken out of his cold sweat-inducing terror with the sound of an angelic voice. Taking this golden, or better said silver opportunity, Subaru takes his opportunity to change the subject of conversation. Shouldn't we get back on track? He deadpans. Alright, let's go. The girl cutely turns around at a nervous pace. Hold on, I didn't mean to rush in like a bunch of headless flies. Aren't introductions in order? Subaru shakes his head with a cheeky smile. My name is Puck the Great Spirit, be sure to remember that. Subaru respectfully nods his head and shifts her gaze toward the elf girl. My name is Satella. While the girl looked at him with uneasy expectancy, the cat, familiar? Her talking shining cat Puck looked aghast at her name. Subaru could only guess what is the explanation for such a strange scenario. Although he was immensely curious about her pseudonym, to ask her right now would risk the immediate disbandment of their temporary party. So he had no choice but to relent. Satella, huh? What a cute name. Satella widened her eyes in shock. There was a tinge of embarrassment sprinkled in, but most of her mental capacities were thrown into delirium. Honestly, you have such a bad taste. The floating cat huffs after the initial surprise. Anyways, what's yours? Satella tried to calm her nerves. A name, huh? Subaru. I could tell her my real name, but I am unbefitting of Oni-sama's family name, right? My mother's maiden name. Natsuki Subaru. Subaru strikes his classic Saturday Night Fever pose. Not only am I clueless, but I can't read, and with very limited funds too. Reaching in his bag, he takes out an apple and offers it to her. Want an appa? Completely ignoring the offer, she raises her hand to refuse. She even added in a cute little headshake. She sharpens her demeanor, perhaps even overly strict given the circumstances, as if weary of someone suspicious. Where are you from, Subaru? Well, I guess the truth is the easiest, even if it might cause me trouble down the line. Given how the architecture is reminiscent of Europe, I am from an island country far east. The silver silk-haired beauty stood in shock that bordered on animosity. That's impossible. Lugnitsa is the most east county. The only thing further east is the Great Waterfall. Seriously? Nothing further east? Could this be the case of reversed cultural geographic placements? Completely ignorant of this world's geography. Subaru's mind wandered back to his planet. Perhaps the continents were mismatched, or different migration patterns caused the two ethnic groups to switch out their settlement regions. Deciding that this topic is too much of a headache to try and figure out on his own without intel gathering, he relaxes his face that had previously scrunched up. Just now he was reminded of the fact that demi-humans exist. Furthermore, colored hair exists naturally. Not a single animal back home displayed green hair. No, it is impossible. What kind of variation of melanin would even allow that? No. Despite the similarity in architecture, this is an entirely different evolutionary branch compared to my own. Perhaps an entirely different species. Subaru mumbled in his zoned-out state. You're such a strange boy, Subaru. Subaru frowns at this slight jab. How old does she think I am? Ignoring his frown, the girl who named herself Satella instead grew even bolder. Could you please show me your hand? To mask his embarrassment, Subaru decided to poke fun at the girl. You accuse me of being strange, while being particular yourself, EYY? He offers his hand. She ignores him and takes his stretched out hand. Your hand is scarred, especially on your knuckles, but these are not the hands of a laborer. Are you prone to fighting? Visibly uncomfortable by his troubling profession, to hold back the flood of difficult memories, Subaru quickly shrugs off the comment. Something like that. Are you sure you're not a criminal? Satella narrows her eyes. What? No, I fight to protect. He is telling the truth, you know. Puck affirms. Are you from a noble line, or knighted? Wincing at the mention of his family status, Subaru speaks out his conflicting stance on the matter. No. At least how I see it. Just an average guy, plain ol' nobody. How about you, Satella? Do you have a great family name? If you're asking me if I am noble, I'd have to deny such a notion. But you look like a princess. Subaru spoke loudly in his mind. Follow me, Satella said enthusiastically. They were looking around the town, until even through his vision-restricting glasses spots something of interest. Time to put my hypothesis into action. Subaru thought as he proceeded to boisterously exclaim his enthusiasm. Hey, silver hair cutie. I think we might have some luck over there. Oh really? What did you call me? Hey, wait. He was about to turn the corner when he felt his hand pulled by someone. Hold on, there's a little girl who's lost. We should help her, Satella said with a tinge of annoyance, but mostly worry for a lost child. Pleased with Satella's decision, despite completely agreeing with her, Subaru had to further test her resolve. Are you sure? That insignia sounded really important to you. The trail could get cold. Even still, we have to. If you don't want to, I can go alone from now on. Satella looked at him with fierce determination, disbanding their temporary alliance in front of Subaru. Man, her hands are soft but firm. How can someone so precious and kind hold so much pain? Okay, we can spare a small detour, but we'll have to hurry later on. Satella tries to comfort the girl, but she instead seems scared out of her mind. She desperately searches for an exit until she spots Subaru and yells, "It's that amazing hero Kun from earlier." She hides behind him, glaring at Satella. Strange, is she afraid of her? Her curse energy spiked right as Satella engaged in a conversation with her. Subaru carefully picks his words. Hey Missy, are you lost? Want us to help you out? She is still a little on edge, but she keeps a teary brave face, as she nods. Subaru lowers himself to her eye level. Here, want a piggyback? Hop on my shoulders. He offers his back to her. Without hesitation, the little girl clumsily climbs onto the dark color-themed steed. Subaru grabs her legs as he stands up, much to the delight of a little girl. Wow, hero Nichin is so tall. Subaru notices Satella pouting. Satella Tan, don't worry, we will find her parents quicker with our pace, plus she won't tire easily. Satella looked shocked at the mention of her name. After composing herself, she continued to look at the reaction of the little girl with apprehension. Ah. Right, wait, you said Tan. Ah, sorry. Let's just say it's a nickname from my homeland for someone, really close. Actually, it's kinda embarrassing now that I think about it. Subaru takes his hand off the little girl's foot to scratch his cheek because of his short-sightedness. Nickname? But we just met. Now genuinely blushing crouches and turns away in shame. Puck excitedly springs up and attempts to punch Subaru. What are you doing? Why did my punches stop? Why are you surprised? What is going on? What is this? Some new language? Subaru decided it was time to stop before this gets out of hand. Can someone explain what is happening? Subaru's ad's annoyed. I was trying to hit you because you made my daughter so giddy, and because of our emotional bond I just had to do something. You tried to punch me just for that. Scary. Oh come on, I wouldn't hit you hard, I'm pretty harmless, harmless my ass. One of those bone breakers would send me flying. The wide-eyed black-haired boy was dead serious, that cat was no joke. Puck starts to tease the boy. I didn't know our hero-sama was such a scaredy cat, NYA. You two are serious dunderheads. Subaru smirks at the pouting silver-haired elf. Who says dunderheads in this age? Idiot. Blah. Satella sticks out her tongue. Cute. Subaru smirks at Satella, and the little girl on top of Subaru's shoulders laughs. Noticing the laughter of the little girl, decided to go full on eloquent theatrical tone, forming words in a way Subaru interpreted to be archaic noble-like speech. Apologies for ignoring thy grace, brave tiny lady upon mine shoulder of your trusted steed. Could you perchance tell us thine blessed name? My name is Plum Rish, what's your hero Ni-chan? I am almost tempted to keep my real name a secret, just to be called a hero. Subaru extinguished the childlike grin that he had on his face, and shook his head, tickling the little girl in the process. But that could cause me embarrassment down the line. It's a Subaru. Nitsuki Subaru. Pleased to meet you Plum-chan. Nice to meet you too. The little girl giggled. Say Plum, what jobs do your parents have? Jobs? Where do they work most of the day? Mama cleans and works in the house, and Dad gives fruit and veggies to people for money. Alright, marketplace it is. I will search for a worried-looking lady, while you look for your mom's face, deal? HMHM, the little girl agrees. It didn't take too long and Subaru was the first one to notice a high concentration of cursed energy in the crowd. Oi! Subaru waved his hand. Not getting the attention he desired, he continued. Lady over there, are you looking for something? Although the woman did not recognize the voice, nor did she think someone was referring to her, she simply instinctually turned herself around to the source of the voice and locked her eyes with the tall person in his outstretched hand. And above the young man's head, stood the face she so desperately searched for. Plum. Mama. The teal-haired girl bounced on Subaru's shoulder in excitement. Taking a hint, Subaru grabs her torso, lifts her off his shoulder over his head, and slowly lowers her to the ground. The two rush each other and they embrace. Plum, are you alright? Did you get hurt anywhere? I was just a bit scarred, but Subaru Nichan helped me a lot. Thank you so much, kind sir, I don't know how to repay you. Don't thank me, it was all my friend's idea. Subaru does the Will Smith presenting pose toward Amelia. But didn't you do all the work, Subaru? This is not the time to act humble. Try asking her about, you know. Subaru tilts his head repeatedly and rapidly in a way that encourages Amelia to do something. Yeah, if it's not too much trouble, I'd like to inquire about the whereabouts of a girl who stole something precious to me. Well, I am only a housewife, my husband would know better about city affairs. Subaru sighed. Amelia, you're terrible at asking people for something that you want. Leave the conversation to me. Subaru turns to look at the lady. Could you please take us to your husband? Any information would help. Our duo follows the mother and a child to a familiar fruit stand. And while the matriarch of the Rish family explained the situation to her husband, Subaru couldn't help but be a bit amused and slightly annoyed at how they looped back to the very beginning. They would certainly need to break the cycle if they were to accomplish anything today. He is shaken out of his stupor by the loud, but now much softer tone than he would usually associate with a gruff-sounding merchant. Rich boy, thanks for saving my daughter. Subaru looks away, showing his both palms in a stopping gesture. Please stop, you're embarrassing me. I don't know how to thank you. Scratching the back of his head, Subaru gives his best shot at describing his situation in detail. Well, there is this thief blonde-haired girl with red eyes, who wears worn-down skimpy clothes. She stole an important item from this beauty right here. Dropping the arm from his head, he presents Amelia with an open palm. Amelia was of course flustered at how Subaru referred to her. The Rish patriarch on the other hand had a complete opposite reaction. Raising an eyebrow and thinning his lips. His first emotion was disgust, but he instantly rationalized it as the young man's strange kinks. Meanwhile, Subaru, although he could read Rish's emotions, trying to figure out the cause, was a fool's errand. Instead, he focused his attention on the task ahead with utter seriousness. Do you have any information? Oh, you mean Felt-san? Yay, she always causes a ruckus. You can probably find her in the slums near the warehouse. You might get your things for a price. Thanks a lot, Appa guy. Hey, that's not my name. He. Payback for calling me a rich boy, nearly 5 gold coins is all I have. Now quietly, let's hurry Satella-tan while the sun is still high. Satella had a restrained, pained expression. They were heading in the shown direction, when, Nei-chan. A small girl can be seen running, with bated breath. Nei-chan, wait. Subaru starts with restrained annoyance. Oh, it's that girl. You're not lost again, are you? Don't worry your parents, girlie. I wanted, to apologize. Here, have this. She gives her a hairpin, and Satella stands there dumbfounded. The girl took the time to calm her breathing. Nei-chan has a kind heart, I shouldn't have been so scared. Sorry, so don't be sad. You're a good kid. Subaru pats her head. You know your way back, right? The girl nods, and Subaru gives Satella a meaningful look. Thank you, I'll keep this with me always. Please, take care of your parents. The girl happily nods and runs back. Subaru stretched both arms forming a bridge behind his head. Man, it's lucky we met Appa guy. Who knew that saving that little girl would help us so much? Satella-tan, you're so admirable, trying your best to help everybody. Yup, passed the test with flying colors. If she didn't stop me back then, I would have scolded her for being selfish. Right. The girl looks at him with a dropping eyelids, cowering, beautiful amethyst eyes hinting at melancholic emotion. Subaru took note of her rising cursed energy. You seem uneased. Subaru, why do you insist on helping me? Subaru looked at her restlessly. This blunt statement, it hurt him just a bit and made him a little sad. Yet he tried not to jump to conclusions. That's a rather harsh remark, should I not help you? Subaru, don't you get it? I am a half-elf. Ah, I see, then, no wonder you are so cute. Elves are the pinnacle of beauty and elegance. Blushing, she looks away, and with an annoyed tone. Honestly, I can never tell when you're joking or not. Subaru was about to start with his nonchalant, teasing, and abrasive tone, bragging about his flirting technique. However, he had a strong feeling that the half-elf would take his word the wrong way. So he said in the most endearing voice he could muster, I'm not joking. She looked like she was about to say something, but she could not bring herself to voice it. Wherever from the crushing feeling in her heart, or to have her embers of hope snuffed out, it didn't matter. She silently bore the turbulent emotions until it settled down. Satella and Subaru walk into the slums. Subaru lowers his glasses and scans the area. Cursed energy seemed just a tad higher than in the city area. Now ideally he would use his ability to track the residual cursed energy of Felt's footsteps. However, he didn't pay attention to the color of her cursed energy back then. The most unique trait about Felt was her strange aura after all, and it wasn't the same as cursed energy. His next strategy would be to track footsteps with a smaller stride because of her height, but that also falls into the water since there are a lot of brats in the slums too. How frustrating. Any luck on your side, Satella-tan? Maybe I can ask spirits for help. Oh cool, you can do that. Enchanted. That's what Subaru felt like. Here in the early evening night, bathed in countless bright lights, stood the most beautiful and yet tormented person Subaru met so far. He and his brother had a tough upbringing, but they could always rely on each other. Geto-kun was pretty up there too. But they surely pale in comparison to her. And yet, she could look so serene and at ease in this newly made center of the entire world she created with her presence. All those clumps of lights Subaru could see flying around aimlessly, at her command, have awoken from their slumber, now joyfully brightened up. Taking the lights from the atmosphere, taking it upon themselves, and radiating said energy in dazzling light performance. The energy flowed toward the girl, enveloping her in a loving embrace. Shining bright, brighter than the first star in the night sky, announcing her presence against the still present rain of the sun. As if declaring, I am here, now it is my time to shine and guide the lost travelers back home. Oi, what the hell am I doing? I can't get my feelings mixed up at this crucial juncture. Remember your lessons. Even if you surround yourself with those you love, a Jujutsu sorcerer will always die alone. Before he could think anything more, a presence sneaks up on him from his right. A gentle and slightly concerned tone blesses his ears. You've been staring at a distance for quite a while. Is something wrong? Ah, no. It's all right, just a bittersweet memory. You're such a mystery sometimes, Subaru. Brushing off his embarrassment, he desperately changes the topic. Did you find out something? The spirits told me it's further down the road. They walked some more until finally Subaru noticed a pattern. Did you find something? This time Amelia was to ask the same question Subaru had just asked her a few minutes ago. These footsteps are too erratic. What do you mean? All of this is just jumbled to me. Well, I can't explain it. Let's just say I have an eye for things. Amazed by Subaru's talents, Satella was even more grateful to him for accompanying her. It's just like how you spotted the mother with ease. Not even Plum-chan recognized her mother before you did. How did you do that? It's kinda hard to put into words. Do you know what cursed energy is? Cursed energy? Puck, do you know anything about this? In all my 400 years, this is the first time I hear about such a thing, Puck told in a deceptively cute tone. His cursed energy, however, did not lie. From suspicion to upright denial and scorn. The type that arrogantly believed that they held all knowledge by the sole virtue of being long-lived. Never mind then, it would take too long to explain, and I am not in a mood to educate. Whatever hope Subaru had of having just a small fragment of his home present here was mercilessly crushed. It was a foolish hope indeed, yet to hear there wasn't even a trace of Jujutsu in this world. Not that Subaru is particularly fond of Jujutsu, if he could choose he would erase it altogether. Still, it's hard to let go once you are used to it. Let me know if you find something. The half-elf beauty, sensing a sensitive topic, decided to respect his privacy. Until he opens on his own at least. A few blocks ahead, Subaru stops at the place. Yup, this worn-down shack is probably the loot house. The suspicious tracks gravitate around it. Satella, you stay back while I try to negotiate your insignia. Frowning with guilt, she begs an answer from him. I don't understand. Why go so far? Listen, Satella. I need you to be vigilant right now. Keep an eye on this house from a distance. If you see any strange party entering, I need you to alert the guards. If I'm not back in 30 minutes, then you have to also alert the guards. What is a minute? Crap, how do you guys measure time? Solar time and lunar time. There are 4 major day cycles and each has 6. We have currently passed 4 hours of fire time. I think I get the gist of it. Then wait for half of the solar time. The girl was increasingly uneasy. Don't worry, Satella, I might not look like it right now, but I can handle myself. Promise you'll be back, only if you promise to listen to my instructions. The half-elf reaches for him briefly before letting her right arm limp. Subaru, yes, Satella. He gently smiles at her. She looked like she wanted to tell something. Something very important weighed down on her, yet she hesitated against the desire to confess. It was strange. It was as if her resentment increased to an unbearable degree in a short few seconds before she swallowed it down at the very next moment. She still hates me despite all my efforts. Is it me or the way I talk to her? Perhaps it has to do with how I rescued that child. Nothing, I'll have to apologize after this, to you. Please be careful. Turning around, he walks to the door at a slow pace. Apologize? Perhaps I am right, she has hated me so far. I mean, since the start she never confided with her real name. But why? Is she that arrogant to abhor any help given to her? He stops in front of the door. Subaru knew that was not true. If she could not stand him, she would make it clear. It was obvious some misunderstanding was at play, yet Subaru did not possess the tools to decode it. At least it wasn't the worst-case scenario. Satella most certainly did not possess the ability to read the past. If she did. Subaru shook his head. He turned back inside. You're still there, huh? You shouldn't be seen by now, you know. Looking at her worried face, Subaru smiled. I'll be careful, go. Satella nods, and walks away. Subaru turns to the door. Knock knock. Arc 1 Chapter 2. A person dressed in black. Quick disclaimer. I am going to use the Japanese terminology for Jujutsu sorcerer because I had several problems while writing. It's because the Zero World and JJK have a point of contact in terminology that is avoided in English, but have the same meaning in Japanese. Jujutsu, curse arts, and Jujutsushi, circa a sorcerers, shamans. These terms share the same name in both verses within the Japanese language, but entirely different power systems since energy sources are different. This will be important because I want Subaru to constantly be misunderstood to be a curse user. Jujutsushi, a profession found in Gusteko. I will also use other terms because they are easier to write and sound cooler in Japanese. Juryoku, cursed energy. Sosa, manipulation. The cursed technique is Jutsushiki. It consists of things like simple domain, black flash, Kokusen, and simple barrier techniques, different from domain expansion because DE needs the next thing on this translation list. Smiley face. Innate cursed techniques are called Shitoku Jutsushiki. Inherited cursed techniques are called Soden Jutsushiki. 3 big families. Kamo, Gojo, Zenin, also people like Nobara, and inumaki, often suffixes to jutsushiki, cursed techniques, are hunten, lapse, forward rotation, and hanten, reversal, reverse rotation, when hanten is a prefix. Hanten jutsushiki means reverse CT, which is a process of creating positive CE within the brain. Also, hajutsuhi are non-sorcerers. And Jusashi is a cursed user. Remember these words. I will use them a lot and remind you of each chapter before you start reading. I also noticed the words sorcerer and sage often overlap within the Japanese language, but that won't be important here. One more thing to note, the last chapter got renamed from The Worst Day to Stars Rebirth. The reason I got inspired to change it is that Jujutsu Kaisen has some minor obsession with the stars too. Besides the obvious Tomb of the Star Corridor, where all the star plasma vessels come to die, or rather fuse with the star deity, Hoshi, which is the other name for Master Tengen. Since Subaru is the name of a constellation, cluster of stars, he goes to the tomb to die, and he is born. Get it? Born like Zero. I got the inspiration for this symbolism when I was re-editing Arc 2 Chapter 2. And now that I searched about Tengen and his other name Hoshi, I wonder if the Hoshin of the Wastes had some connection to the name of a star. Anyways, enjoy. Subaru stood in front of the door, waiting for an answer. Right as his nerves were reaching the melting point. For a rat? This is severely lacking context. He stopped talking, and it sounded like a question. As if he is expecting an answer. Is this some kind of code? What's the matter? Did some jokester decide to annoy me and run? I have to think fast. Rats are unpleasant whether they are describing a person or animal. So he would probably like to get rid of it. Rat, poison. Poison, the answer is poison. Aren't you slow? The gruff voice grumbles to himself, this time louder. For a whale? Easy, harpoon. To our noble dragon. We are. What the hell? Why the sudden change in tone? We were talking about getting rid of nuisance. Yaw got 2 out of 3. Deep footsteps can be heard on wooden floors. Whoever is in there is massive. The door opens, and indeed his sheer presence was intimidating, for an ordinary person that is. Who are you supposed to be? A very old, yet surprisingly bulky, dark-skinned giant stood there like a mountain. His black rugged clothes consisted of pants tied together by a red scarf belt, and a jacket that was so run down it barely covered up anything. His exposed chest was so hairy it looked more like a patch of fur, and across his chest was a chain dropping down diagonally from his right shoulder underneath the jacket. Why a chain? No, seriously, what is the point of it? Is it like an impromptu weapon? Chains are not usually good weapons, but perhaps these were thick enough for people to reconsider more than they already had to, considering he is bloody huge. Not to mention his face. Clean-shaven top of the head with strange red swirling markings above his left eye. His thick pale bushy eyebrows extended on the edges like locks of hair. You would assume at first glance that he had earnings, but no. This bloody legend had multiple beads tying together his long-ass eyebrow hairs that ran down his cheeks to the bottom of his jaw. His eyes were sunken in, giving him the angry Neanderthal look. To highlight his dangerous impression, he had a lot of scars, but none were seemingly visible on his torso. Overall, he gave out that air of a poor fortune teller, and a promise of violence. Nevertheless, his appearance had little effect on Subaru. Perhaps in his prime, this man was a living tank on the battlefield, but the way he was now. In all honesty, Amelia scarred him way more. Having nothing to worry about, but deciding to forego the classic Subaru introduction pose, and just converse in a casual tone. My name is Natsuki Subaru, I have come to retrieve what felt stole. Y'all ain't getting it, boy. Unless y'all want to pay for it. Fine by me. Subaru's thoughts began to more closely semi-analyze, because in this state his mind tends to wander off. He has more of those light particles than an average human, but he has no talent in his special abilities. His body tells a different story. I think I still have him beat in that regard. No matter what. An ordinary person can't compare to even the weakest Jujutsushi. Except for that guy who didn't possess any Juryoku, cursed energy. Subaru unintentionally tensed up, and the giant noticed it. In such a situation there can only be one appropriate response, and that is offering hospitality. Can I offer you something to drink? I don't drink alcohol. I'm too young for it. Shaking his head a firm no. Subaru shut down that suggestion on sight. If the old man didn't have such a weight put on his eyebrow hairs, perhaps he would raise them in contemplation. Instead, he chose to furrow them and squint his eyes as his method to convey analyzing Subaru's appearance. Really? You don't look like a 14-year-old. Interpreting what he heard as an insult to his appearance, one he so adamantly built up with harsh training, Subaru couldn't help but get a little pissy. What do you mean 14-year-old? I am 17. Then what the hell are ya complaining about? Aren't ya a man? Do ya want booze or not? That's still a no. Good grief, what was the name again? Lagunica? Lagunicans start drinking at 15? That's honestly nasty as hell. Taking a sneaky little opportunity at an opening, the giant takes a dice roll at obtaining information. So you're not from around here. Troubled by his experience with a half-elf girl, Subaru had to think fast and construct a more believable story for future introductions. He would need to apply for a job eventually, and most of the normal jobs require presenting a resume. Those who do not require a clean confirmation of identity are usually employments in shady and illegal kinds. Something Subaru was not too keen on joining. Would being transported to another world be believable? I guess not. There was a real risk of trying to pretend that Subaru came from another country adjacent to Lagunica. That being an immediate and long-term risk. The immediate risk is Subaru's lack of knowledge about the current world. Long-term is a problem most people would never think of, or stay willingly ignorant to. However, Subaru was at least familiar with the hidden corners of society. By no means an expert, his circumstances forced him to keep a level of informedness. Should Subaru blurt out the name of the village, real or not, there will be someone who will investigate it. Perhaps Subaru could find a decimated village, posing as a sole survivor, but who knows what powers this world allows. Perhaps even the dogma of the dead tell no tales could be disregarded. Such a practice wasn't even that far-fetched back in his old world. Although Subaru wasn't exactly sure of the entire extent of it, rumors about techniques and knowledge about souls from elites of Jujutsu society. Well, I asked Ya a question. Why did Ya space out like that? Is everybody home in her head? The old mountain of muscle was getting impatient. So the only solution is to take advantage of the entire world's ignorance. There exists an island nation behind the great waterfall far east. Fa ha 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 ha. That's the most ridiculous story I have ever heard. I like Ya crazy kid. I can't win, it seems. Subaru slumps in defeat, having his words taken as a joke at best, and crazy ramblings at worst. The mountain of an old man finally managed to suppress his laughter. Maybe not booze, but I can still offer Ya some milk. Sure, bottoms up. B-way, what the hell is this? It's so nasty. Ya insult my kindness. I poured this from the bottom of my heart, more like from the bottom of your ass. This stuff should be illegal. Honestly, what a rude brat Ya are. Me? Rude? They say. Fear nuns even when bearing gifts. Those ancient Greeks were something, huh? The giant looked at him confusedly, scratching his bald head, reaching deep into his mind for any mention of this particular term, but coming up with a blank since he couldn't be acquainted with the story of the Trojan horse. Seeing the confusion on his new conversation partner, Subaru sighed, realizing that there wasn't a smidge of influence in this new world from good old Earth. Trojan horse is one of those historical records every child on the planet with proper education or information transfer system comes to know. He truly was alone in this. He takes pity on the old man and explains his saying. In this context, it means, at least I don't sneakily give people unpleasant experiences disguised as hospitality. Quote. Gah, the nerve. The giant seemed to finally let his guard a bit. It's scary when you think about it. How easily human beings, well, humanoids in this case, become amicable with the slightest bit of banter. There is an entire art form dedicated to exploiting people's instincts for socialization. Deception, espionage, undercover agents. It makes you wonder how people even discern who to trust. Do they believe that humans are bad liars? Or do they arrogantly over-rely on their danger-sensing capabilities? Perhaps they rationalize that they are not that important, so the person they are conversing with has little chance of having malignant intentions toward them. Subaru felt the rush of a certain emotion. He knew it was revolting to feel this way. Some people are just blessed from birth. They had at least one person surrounding them who would not betray their trust. He should just accept that. Subaru is just a bit less lucky than most. That's it. There is nothing more to it. But that's only temporary. Yes, he will surely find someone else to confide in. There is a light at the end of this tunnel. And this time he will not let them die, even if it kills him. After rationalizing his unreasonable outburst of that sickness that shall not be named, he quickly switched to a more friendly and opportunistic demeanor. So, felt, I presume she's coming here. Yes, she has arranged a meeting with a client and they should have a meeting. Subaru raises his eyebrows with a smirk. Oh, how did you know I wasn't a client? Eyeing Subaru carefully, he began to give his experienced look on things. Ya didn't answer correctly on one of a secret signals. If Y answered one or none correctly, then I would assume Felt didn't tell Ya. Instead, Ya guessed two, and on the last one, Ya tried to give a clever answer. A smart kid no doubt, but a client you're not. Subaru was ready to ask why old man even let him in since he failed to give a final correct answer. After all, what is the point of having a password if you're going to let anyone in anyway? But that's just it, isn't it? It was never a password to begin with. It is a test, a psychological evaluation. All three answered correctly would entail someone who respects basic human courtesy. Well, that's what would be factual in an ideal world, but it never stopped those truly malignant from doing whatever they wanted. At least it should theoretically make a person at least a bit compliant and more likely to control their impulses. A sort of psychological conditioning with promises of having your privacy respected with a password. On the opposite end of the spectrum, straight up admitting that they do not have the password would immediately affirm the subject's honest nature. Trying to guess, failing at all, or succeeding on one, would hint that the person is adamant and ambitious, and a little desperate to earn the invitation. However, the last option would, without a doubt, be the only one you should never let in. And that begs the question, why did the old man let Subaru in? Someone capable of figuring out 2 out of 3 would be the most dangerous type of person. Someone who intentionally and unashamedly tries to deceive anyone, to accomplish their goals at all costs. The best part is that this is not even an assumption. Why? Because, unlike the option where one or none is answered correctly, the questionee has intelligence to back it up. With more intelligence, the more purposeful their intent is. There was also a chance where the customer went for this option, but rarely would they have this much patience, and would likely not be willing to risk their chance to enter. The only reason why someone would let someone most capable destroy everything that the giant holds dear is either that he is self-assured of his capabilities, or he is straight up crazy. No. It is most likely both. This old man most likely has a death wish. Or is it the boredom coupled with poverty that makes him face the blade's edge head-on? A very similar answer, Subaru concluded, without much thinking, so a chuckle unwillingly escaped his usually unreadable neutral-friendly attitude. Well, in my line of work, thinking fast is a must, and what would that be? Subaru's lip curled upward a bit, just enough so that he could gloat at the owner of the loot house. I am afraid I can't give out that information. Suit yourself, stranger, at least I won't be bored waiting for them to arrive. Witnessing a giant take a swing of his drink, our cherry boy in all earthly pleasures and substances started to commend his host for his courageousness. Intoxicating himself right in front of a predator? Doesn't matter if the dark-skinned dog has deemed Subaru someone who he could defeat in the end, a predator can still retaliate no matter how harmless it seems. Not to mention he does this while the sun is still far from setting. At the very least, Subaru can appreciate how in character that old man is. Noticing the boy's mocking expression, he raised his thick eyebrow to commence with his form of teasing. Speaking of which, I heard from Felt that the client is loaded. Are ya sure you can outbid them? For starters, I have almost 5 gold coins, is that going to be enough? 5 fingers outstretched, the boy with dark glasses tried his best to seem confident. Once again, the old mountain could not move his brows to express himself because of the added weight, so he was conditioned to simply shake his head almost imperceptibly. If I were to guess, I am afraid not. This one is a hired heist, such are usually in the holy coin range. Holy coin? Hey, surprised? It's disheartening to have our entire life savings brushed aside by a currency ya haven't even heard of, or ever hoped to achieve, haha. The holy coin is worth 20 of those gold coins. Giving the giant a smirk, he looked with a new fire in his eyes. Disheartened? No. It just means I have to double down and cash in my belongings. HRRRMMM. If willing to go that far, what exactly does the stolen item mean to ya? Subaru could not respond. This was a trap question no matter how you look at it. At worst, it will be an incentive to squeeze him dry of all that is worth. Knock knock knock. For a rat, poison. For a whale, harpoon. To our noble dragon, we are shitbags. Subaru rolled his eyes. Is it wrong? I'm slightly pissed off. There is no way I could figure that one out. Oh, who is this? Hold on, aren't you that strange Ni-chan in the, you two know each other? The blonde thief raised her palm, swinging it in dismissal from left to right repeatedly. Not really, This guy was getting robbed by 3 thugs while I was escaping the girl I stole from. I ran away to the rooftop so as not to get caught in other people's problems. So how did you deal with it? I had help, so I'm repaying the favor. I'm here to buy it from you. The crimson eyes of the girl glazed over as her mental gears were turning. And once she realized her hostility shot up, you don't mean you're with that girl? Felt instantly reached her hand for the dagger on her back, surprised at her perceptiveness where she completely exposed information he didn't want to give. He had to play along with her game, which made him annoyed at himself for slipping up. She's waiting for me to end this deal, and I truly wish we could do it as soon and peacefully as possible. Felt gave a sly money-grabbing signature look of superiority. Ho ho, then you'll have to pay up. What do you have to offer? She positioned her hand gesturing the motion of shaking a leather coin pouch, and on the other, she connected her thumb and index finger in an okay, or money sign. Subaru grumbles in mock frustration. I hear from Rom that some chum change won't be able to compete. With a stride, she goes up to her seat right next to Subaru. True. The client promised me 10 holy coins. Oi, old man Rom, this is a cause for celebration. She banged her hand on the table as a typical bragging action demanding a reward. Rom pours a glass of milk. Subaru, noticing this, tries his best to contain himself and shakes his head. All I brought today is 4 gold, 19 silver, and 16 copper coins. Subaru gained a shit-eating grin as the girl swallowed her milk. Gay, old man Rom, did you perhaps water it down? It's seriously gross. The petted girl exposed her tongue in disgust, not worrying too much about decency. Rom grumbling. I gave you this out of the goodness of my heart, to think you would call it gross? Rom's head pats the girl. Subaru takes off his glasses for a moment. Ha ha ha, it is bad. Although you two seem so close, it makes me feel a bit left out and sad. Subaru twists his face with a manic glare. People often told me that my eyes were mean, but never had I been so offended to be put in the same box with this guy. Oh, sorry Nissan, I was in the wrong, ka. An annoyed dark-haired student puts his glasses back on. The girl looks a bit sorrowful. You have a mean face, but your eyes have a nice color, so at least you have something going for you. You two are in some conspiracy to piss me off. Rom was smiling, but his eye twitched and a vein popped out on his forehead. Ignoring him, Felt finished her thought. Too bad winning this bidding war is not one of them. Subaru tilts his head back, smiling from ear to ear. Oh, but I haven't lost yet. Felt completely fell for it, and acted upon her bratty tendency of mercilessly looking down on someone she considered a monetary small fry. What do you mean? By the looks of it, you can't pay off such an amount for a lifetime. Subaru waves his index finger with a no gesture. TCH. I might not have the necessary funds, but I can give something worth money. With this cell phone, presenting it victoriously to the sky, or rather the ceiling, Felt took only a moment of starstruck examination, before once again falling back on her satirical disposition. Looks strange, but I still don't see how it will beat 10 holy coins. Acting out the role of door-to-door salaryman, Subaru presents the phone with one hand while holding it in another. This magical device has a special feature to capture time for everything and everyone and store it indefinitely. He immediately started inputting a password to unlock his phone. I've never seen such a device before. The old man rumbles in a low and curious tone. Meanwhile, Subaru was messing around with his settings until he reached the desired task performance. Take this. 9 snaps per second. Continuous shot. Ooh, what is this sound and why is it so bright? The girl squeals in surprise. Bastard, Arya trying to kill me. Don't make light of the old man with such a dumb trick, said Rom while reaching for his club. Subaru showed him an open palm in a pleading gesture, desperately searching for his photo gallery. Wait, hold on, I mean no harm. Take a look. This is mine and Felt's faces. Like I said, it's a mystical item that can freeze a moment in time, and then store it. I understand now, that's amazing. Felt rubbed her hands in anticipation. Rom's behavior also changed for the better as he used his right hand to rub his chin in contemplation. Never seen it, but isn't that one of the media I've been hearing about lately? Giving the old man his phone for inspection, Subaru raises his eyebrows. Media? Rom examined the thin device while thinking deeply, and his Juryoku, cursed energy, spiked. Whatever he was remembering wasn't at all pleasant. It's a device that can let people who haven't opened the gate use magic, like real magic users. Felt tries to hold in her excitement. I'm more concerned with the price. What can I get from this media? Scratching his bald head and rubbing his thick neck, Felt's most trusted ally gave her his reliable and often sought-after evaluation. It's my first time using this media too, but I'm sure it will fetch more than 10, number 20 holy coins. Then the deal is settled. Subaru reaches for the insignia, but Felt is quicker. Not so fast. It means I can overcharge my client with all they got and take whichever option is more profitable. Frustration was understandable on Subaru's part. This quest has been going on for long enough. He still needed to find shelter for today. Look, kid. I don't have time for it. I have a promise to keep. Just a quarter of solar time. That's perfect, the client should be arriving any second. Felt had the slightest hint of desperation to her usually cool demeanor. Knock knock knock. Speaking of the devil, Felt chirps. Felt, did you tell her the password? I'm not sure, let me go get her. Subaru lowered his eyeglasses and stared in bewilderment. This woman is not human, but it's not a curse either. If I had to put my finger on it, it's something similar to the experiments of that cursed blood manipulation Jujutsu, cursed arts, sorcerers, shamans. Her Juryoku, cursed energy, is comparable to the grade 2, maybe even Sami grade 1 sorcerer. In front of him was a truly alluring figure. An hourglass body in truly provocative clothing. Her poor excuse from a black dress with purple engravings just barely covered her cleavage with an exposed middle that ran down past her navel and dangerously close to her nether area. Her dress had an opening to the side freeing her thighs, and she dressed in pantyhose and a pair of high heels. She wore matching black gloves with purple outlines that began wrapped around her middle finger all the way just above the elbows. Had she not worn a cape with a feather-like silk that was sticking out her hood, which created this strange illusion of modesty and class, Subaru would have to redefine in his head the meaning of goddess of lust or love or whatever. Raven black-haired, tied in a braid reaching to her hips. Had Subaru not been blessed with 6 eyes, but was like any ordinary man, he would be panting like a dog in front of her. It is simply impossible to resist such a body, especially with a face like that. To say it was impeccable would be giving it a disservice. Pale white skin that on anyone else would look sickly and alarming. However, in her complexion, it gave her a doll-like appearance. She even had a beauty mark below her left eye which only served to complement her already mature allure. Her pink subtle lips looked so soft. Her amethyst eyes are always half closed. To any ordinary guy, those eyes would scream that this woman knew how to please and was open to any dark desire, even if it was not spoken, always giving something new even if regrets mount. But to Subaru, those eyes told a story of a different kind of thirst. And what is disturbing, her Juryoku, cursed energy, is openly hostile, while any other aspect of her is, including her demeanor and appearance, inviting. No doubt she's a professional killer. If I had to describe it, it's just raw power. Somehow I know she'll be resistant to my attacks, on top of having ridiculously overpowering speed and strength. Man, I don't want to fight her, but I think it's a 60% chance she will regardless. Every single time Subaru switched up his angle of thoughts, he had to suppress his every instinct to show his thoughts to the outside world through small movements and expressions. But he also knew that stiffing up his body would also be noticed, so he tried to appear as relaxed as. The seductive woman smiles widely. Era, who is this boy? You do well in hiding your hostility. Shit, it went up to 80%, despite his worries. Subaru, knowing that she is onto him, tries to deflect her suspicion. I think it's normal, considering we are competing for the same item. I love your eyes, boy. They look so lively and determined. She means that she can't wait to snuff them out. Yep, the outcome of this auction is clear. She's just toying with us. From this point onwards, Subaru was like another person entirely under pressure. In utter calmness, he firmly stirs the conversation in his favor. Thank you for the compliment. I'm flattered I caught the eye of such a fine maiden as yourself. Good, make me fall in love even more. I think I'm going to be sick. How can one appear so different from their thoughts? In his distraught state, Subaru could not appreciate the irony, for he was more or less doing the same thing. Rom was getting annoyed at their banter. What is happening right now? If you want to make out with this guy, then do it after the transaction has been made. Putting a hand to her open mouth after a sudden realization, she masterfully executes the pretending to be an airhead routine. Oh my, how rude of me. I know we are all hasty to finish our business, but allow me the honor of being acquainted with all of you. My name is Elsa Granhired, pleased to meet you. I go by Old Man Rom, TL. Gigi is a word for elderly man, Gramps, so when you add G at the end of a name in Japanese that means Old man underscore underscore underscore. Just felt, but you all already knew that, as a true Jujutsushi, cursed arts, sorcerer, shaman, well versed in deception, with his spiky black hair resembling a crown, Subaru puts on his best gentlemanly act. I have to wonder. For such a delicate maiden, you don't have anyone escorting you. This isn't the noblest part of the city, aren't you for the least bit concerned about your safety? Everything about him is convincing. The concern, care, and compassion in his voice and expression. But it is all a lie. A lie that he perfected over the long years in the lion's den that is the entirety of Jujutsu society. As the weakest Jujutsushi, the impeccable facade that he presents is the difference between life and death. Elsa's lips curled and eyes narrowed hungrily at Subaru's flattery, decided to play with her food. I'm quite well off on my own, but I might take you up on the offer if you'd like. Geez, you put me in a difficult situation. Subaru chuckled lightly, deep in thought. I have to look for more potential threats on her, Her cape, it has a white hue. I guess it is magic. Some rare people had white hues. Subaru scratches his head. I have a promise to keep, so if you'd wait here for a bit, I'll come back for you. Fainting, being bummed about her plans for a date being ruined, she sighs longingly. I am afraid I am also in a kind of hurry to get on my way, after the bidding is over. Although I am curious as to why you seem so sure you'll win. Elsa grins seductively at her last statement. I hope she would agree, but now I know, not only does she plan to kill us all, she plans to extort me for information and kill Satella too. Subaru grimaces, but quickly adorns a neutral expression. For starters, I have a media worth at least 20 holy coins. What do you get? The deal was 10, but my employer left me with some change. Ram starts counting coins she spilled from a pouch. Exactly 20 holy coins. The boy wins, on media alone. But aren't we evenly matched? Elsa furrows her brow. Subaru leans back, stretching his arms. That's the thing, Elsa-san. My media costs at least 20 holy coins, which means Felt-chan can get more than it. It seemed you had luck, Ni-san. Subaru smiles and takes his glasses off. I'm sorry, Elsa-san. Seems like your employer will be mad and you'll get in trouble. He continues to clean his darkened glass with the fabric of his clothes in a trance-like state. Elsa stretches and puts one of her hands behind the hip most opposite to Subaru. That's no concern of mine, it's their fault for trying to underpay. Although I am curious, who is your employer you're willing to go to such lengths? Finishing the cleaning ritual of the glasses he used for stress relief, he oh so elegantly puts his brother's last memento on the center of the table. It's a secret, tilde. Shame. In a flash of movement, Subaru was barely able to grab her hand. Felt and Ram widened their eyes in surprise. It seems we have to do it the hard way, Elsa growls. She drops the knife, trying to catch it with another hand. But Subaru just kicked the blade up and, continuing the trajectory of his leg, struck her in the face while letting go of her hand so that a bloodthirsty woman crashed into a wall behind her. She looked where her blade was kicked to, only to find it lodged up in a wooden support beam. The black-braided assassin smiled at him, impressive. I can't wait to open you up. Subaru took a fighting stance, but unlike him, the others weren't as quick to catch up to the newly developed troubling situation. Felt was the first to cry out. What the hell is your deal? Ni-san won. Fair and square. The smile that the erotic woman held was just wrong. Her eyes were cold, and her grin was friendly but bloodthirsty upon closer inspection. Her tone oozed with sickly sweetness, poisonous enough to eradicate the entire slum block. What a dumb gutter rat, you don't even know what it is that you stole. I was planning to take all three of you out as soon as I entered the door. Subaru and Elsa started duking it out, Elsa attempting to strike vital points with her open hands as if trying to pierce with her fingers. Subaru on the other hand tries to punch her face and gut with curse-infused fists. They were so effortlessly blocking, redirecting, and avoiding attacks, that, to the untrained eye, they were evenly matched, but if one were to look closer, Elsa was still easily swaying, while Subaru just barely countered her attacks last minute. Watching them helplessly was Felt, who had just now managed to process the consequences of her actions. GHK, I'm sorry you got caught in this mess, Ni-san. Subaru could not prevent his attention from swaying, so he said every word deliberately when he could afford it. Repay me. By running away, and seek help. Me and Ramji, we'll figure it out. I'm not going to back down. Do you take me as a coward? Felt said with a teary-eyed face, her pride utterly shattered at her short-sightedness. Life in the slums was cruel to her, and she resorted to stealing to get around from day to day. There were some lines she would not cross. Betrayal is one of them. The very least she could do is to atone for dragging someone else into her problems. Listen to the boy, Felt. I'll smash this bitch into a pulp. Rom takes a baton and swings at her. This is my first time battling a giant to the death. The black-themed assassin effortlessly dodges to the side while the club smashes the table, not the one that held Satoru's glasses. Elsa is now seen on the defensive, as both fighters take turns swinging earth-shattering attacks at her. Felt remained stagnant, as she could not decide whether to listen to their advice or wait for her moment to strike. Amazing. Amazing. Such choreography between two strangers. It's a shame a giant is holding you back, Blue-Eye Boy. She is right, I'm not giving my 100%, but I would rather win a battle of attrition than step right in her ambush. What are you hiding, Elsa? Subaru carefully observed the lady, his 6 eyes helping him to slow down the perception of time as his focus sharpened. He could see her leg muscles contracting, her Juryoku, cursed energy, clumsily gathering there readying for a jump. She is a total beginner at it. She can't properly control or see it. I know, since I had one normal eye before. The amount of training Subaru needed to go through just to properly see, and even then it was nothing like the inherited enhanced perception and precision of the 6 eyes. Satoru, on the other hand, never seemed impaired by his one regular eye. It seems no matter the world, there will always be talented who are just leagues above simply gifted yet inadequate. And those in turn will have an unfair advantage above regular hardworking humans. This is evident, of course, as the differing results emerged. Even though they were both aiming at the same location, Elsa jumped over the incoming horizontal swing of a huge wooden club, using it to push herself up with her hands then legs like a cat. But Subaru, who was relative to her speed, was closer and started earlier to reach the blade. He managed not only to grab the knife but also roundhouse kick her with a full-blown Juryoku, cursed energy. To such a beginner at Juryoku Sosa, CE manipulation, like Elsa, only one outcome was available for her. She didn't shield her face and got treated as any other Hajutsuhi, non-sorcerer. The only saving grace is that she attempted to dodge, thus only her jaw got obliterated. The kick sends her flying to the counter, raising a smokescreen of fragments and dust. She's not dead. Felt, get the fuck out of here. Holding a surprisingly heavy kukri knife, Subaru gets an idea and reaches into his wallet. Right, I'll get help. She charges away with the same aura he saw in the street, only 10 times stronger. Right as she was going to leave, a blade came flying out of the dust, but Subaru was prepared. He had built up cursed energy on a coin from his homeland, and with 6 eyes perfectly predicted trajectory so he could shoot it down. The blade embedded itself in a far side wall away from the bar table. The dust settled down, and Subaru saw the most disturbing sight he ever saw. No, it wasn't the assassin's lack of jaw. It was the regeneration of said jaw. There is no way. There is no fucking way. Are you fucking kidding me? Not even Oni-sama could crack the code. Are you saying this bitch could figure it out whilst being a complete newbie? The black-haired jaw-recovering yokai, TL ghost, demon, ghost supernatural apparition, smiled seductively. I think I'm in love. Your eyes, your beautiful, clear, intense blue eyes. I can't wait until they glaze over as I open your warm insides. Can you please be more disturbing? Subaru sarcastically remarked as he clenched his fists with coins, imbuing them with Juryoku, cursed energy, and Elsa's blade in another. Elsa swayed in place, her tone never losing her enthusiasm. What technique are you using? My healing is a bit slower. It will force me to go all out, Tilda. Yep. The atmosphere in the room got even heavier. I have 5 more ranged attacks. Technically I have more in my other pocket, but I don't want to lose that money if I don't have to. Subaru shot a projectile directed at her head and she didn't bother to dodge. She thought that Juryoku, cursed energy, could not stick to objects. Big mistake. The coin blew up her left eye, but thanks to her reaction time she turned her head in such a precise way before the momentum of the coin could damage her brain. The result was a coin lodged on the left side of her skull with only a small portion sticking out. Subaru, expecting this change in her momentum, aimed at her neck with a stolen blade for a quick beheading. In his mind she was going to head directly at his blade. Elsa simply jumped over him in a front flip. The cut that was supposed to cut her neck simply cut her braided hair. Her new short hair was surprisingly stylish. Ah, getting a haircut from my beloved. I promise to wear it forever. She grabbed the knife that Subaru stuck in a wall with his coin when he saved Felt. A flash of terror has settled on Subaru's face. This woman even managed to choreograph the battle so she ended up in just the right position to retrieve her blade. It was a grave mistake to allow himself the room to think as he barely dodged with a step back. Subaru entered his evasion mode, desperately trying to create distance to allow a precious few moments to voice out his protest. I don't understand you at all. You say you love me, and your voice is genuine. Why do you pursue your attack then? Love for me is happiness that warms you through the cold. To be warmed, I need to feel someone's warmth. With a voice that was overflowing with ecstasy, despite her still missing eye were the exact ingredients to send alarm bells to anyone unlucky enough to observe. Yet this was not the time to psychoanalyze as the woman rushed in with sound-tearing speeds. A clash of blades sparked the battlefield. Ram tried to help occasionally, but it was clear this was a dance for two. The fact that both men were just barely able to match this woman who was still sensory deprived of one eye painted a very disturbing picture. A forecast of defeat for our protagonist. I'm still horrible at infusing objects with Juryoku, cursed energy, but the durability of her blade is still impressive. Subaru quipped, if you desperately want warmth, then you should get a hug. Elsa's expression was melancholic. Skin can grow cold as the excitement runs dry. I need something more genuine to forget the cruel cold. I need the constant burning heat of your bowls. The one-eyed freak even had the gall to blush at her last statement. Rum managed to finally land a hit on her back and smashed her into an opposite wall. The voice of a girl was for the first time devoid of emotion. A better description would be that she wasn't using her sing-song voice anymore, but what left her mouth was cold scorn. You're in my way, giant. That hit that I allowed you to make was a recognition of your resilience. Now disappear so I can give my full attention to my sweetheart. Subaru quirked his eyebrow. What the hell is she talking about? The giant looked equally surprised as Subaru. That is until his neck started spurting blood. Ram G. Subaru fought against his shock and immediately used his newly generated desperate frustration to prepare his ranged attacks. Fling, 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 clung, clung, tang, sin, crash. As the kukri blade shattered, it was Elsa's time to be surprised. I see, you have an ability, something other than magic, something quite different, heading in the opposite direction, but also not complete antithesis to it. She touches the coin on the side of her damaged eye. Crap, is she awakening to it? I should limit her information and try to finish it quickly. You imbue your attacks with it, boosting its ability to the point where even the strongest materials take unnatural damage under your strikes. She rips the coin out, and the eye starts to slowly heal. But I still can't figure out what exactly it is. Thank Buddha. Still, this is concerning. Now I know she isn't healing with Hanten Jutsushiki, RCT, because she would figure out a way to get better at Juryoku Sosa, CE manipulation. Perhaps even unlock her Shitoku Jutsushiki, innate CT, by now. Which means she has a broken base healing factor on top of having extremely inhuman musculature. Subaru prepares Elsa's blade. Now that you know what I'm capable of, and the fact that your weapon is broken, I suggest you run away. Because it would wound my heart to kill such a pretty lady. Despite not being genuine, Subaru managed to create a convincing illusion of concern. Elsa appreciated Subaru's compliment. No, I don't think I will. Let me reintroduce myself more properly. My name is Elsa Granhired, but I also go by the name of Bowlhunter. You have indeed taken my fangs, but if I lose my fangs I'll just use my claws. If I lose my claws, then I'll use my bones, and when my bones are broken I'll use my life. That is how the Bowlhunter fights. I've heard enough. A feminine voice pierces the room. A giant ice wall engulfs the former assassin. Subaru was not pleased. Satella, what the hell are you doing here? I told you to run away and ask for help. Amelia's demeanor was slightly ashamed. Subaru, I was worried. The girl begged me to help you. I agreed to it if she continued to look for reinforcement. Subaru in response had an outburst of frustration. Satella, you dumb child. Even I can't keep up. Puck. Shield her. Puck barely manages to defend Amelia from a surprise attack. I didn't think I would have to use this one so quickly. The cape disintegrated into thin air. I was hoping to see despair on the blue-eyed prince's face. Elsa certainly succeeded in that regard. All this time, this scantily dressed assassin had such an ace in her sleeves. Had he fought her and she used a Phoenix Revive from the Final Fantasy genre, all of Subaru's efforts would have been for naught. Despair at his weakness overwhelmed Subaru. Nothing has changed ever since that dark cold corridor, his ultimate failure. It didn't help that this felt all too similar. A black-haired assassin wearing dark clothes, or at least a dark shirt back on Earth. Moving at speeds Subaru simply couldn't keep up with despite going way above the safe usage of 80% muscle potential. In both cases, his opponents flaunt their disgusting personalities in his face, mocking his every effort. Treating him like a toy, flaunting their masculinity or femininity to the extreme. Truth be told, he has been worn down, and now finding out that without that ice explosion from Satella, all his progress would be shrugged off. His fighting spirit finally shattered. While he was helplessly going through his trauma, he was at the same time watching Puck and Satella forming a perfect offense and defense against the assassin. Hold on, that's not right. Their technique had room for improvement. Subaru saw that Satella was drawing mana from the atmosphere, but the way she was doing that. The flow of energy would suggest that she is somehow borrowing something from Puck to get it, and Puck was drawing only a small portion of Satella's glow in turn. Puck was holding back with his stand and form, a fraction of his true power, and he gave no intention of going all out. For the spirit, he could guess why he was holding back. Perhaps a nasty binding vow is crippling him. On the other hand, Satella had no excuse for not using her physical and inherited metaphysical power. Can't she draw power from her red hue for some reason? That's not right either, because she sometimes uses it very sheepishly when defending herself. She should be able to do so much more. Is she not trained? It was not the time to have such useless thoughts. The cat spirit seems to be steadily running out of steam. It was still a long time away, but given the current stalemate, the tragic outcome shortly was inevitable. Looking around for a solution, his attention was stolen by the old giant, who pressed his hand on his bleeding neck, breathing shallowly, losing consciousness. Growing tired of seeing people die around him, he could not bear to be held responsible for any more tragedies. How would Felt feel if she found her only family bleed out like a throat-cutting pig? Such a heart-wrenching thought, he could not stand it. Subaru, wiping the cold sweat from his forehead, adds carefully, "Satella, I'll forgive you if you manage to save Ramji's life." She purposely cut him shallowly to prolong his death. "Can you please heal him?" Satella started with a sorrowful tone, but she was quickly gathering her resolve. "Subaru. Yes, I can heal him. Puck, can you deal with the awful naked lady while Subaru guards my back?" This was the first time where Elsa's eyes matched her smile in unrestrained malice. "Aura, I can't let you do that. Where are you looking exactly? Your opponent is me." Puck started raining down ice shards on her. "My, how wonderful, I never dissected a spirit's stomach." Satella and Subaru went to help Ram. Subaru had his back turned to Satella, his attention occupied with looking at the battlefield. "Satella, you said you were sorry," Subaru growled with extreme annoyance. Satella said, able to handle both conversion and healing with lesser spirits, "before I went into the warehouse. You said you were going to apologize to me. Subaru, you lied to me, didn't you? Just how you lied when you promised to seek help." Subaru desperately tried to contain his frustration. He glanced back at her. Satella continued to heal Ram. Her sadness and a type of anger Subaru did not recognize dominated her Juryoku, cursed energy, signature. Subaru shakes his head. "Sorry, I was too harsh. I lost two people who were very dear to me. I didn't want to lose you either." Satella made a muffled, surprised tone. "Is it done yet? Your spirit friend is not doing too well on energy reserves." "Yes, it is done. Still, he has lost consciousness." "Good. I didn't want him involved in this. Take him somewhere safe, Satella, I'll deal with her somehow." Subaru goes to join the battlefield, but... Subaru, wait, she grabs his hand. "My name?" Subaru turns to her, and she properly looks deep into his clear blue eyes for the first time. "Call me by my real name. Amelia, okay." "Amelia Tan." Subaru smiles genuinely for the first time in a long time. Amelia's eyes sparkle and her face blushes. Not understand what made her chest hurt so much, but felt relief at the same time. Puck states, utterly exhausted, "It seems my time is up. The 5th of the fire solar time has passed." Amelia, destroy the back wall, take R. Elsa, having her annoyance reach a peak, grimly challenges their audacity. "Era, you think I will let you rescue them just like that?" Subaru, troubled, takes a shot in the dark. "I know it's too much to ask from your ilk, but there is a debt I need to repay. Allow me to fight you one-on-one, just you and me. If you truly love like you say you do, then if I die you should be satisfied with that, right?" Elsa nodded respectfully. "Yes, that would be bliss. Then in exchange for that fulfillment, you will pursue your quarry no longer." Elsa started to blush. "What made you think I would listen to you? The dead should not demand from the living." The raven-haired teen pointed the stolen kukri blade directly at her heart and stated with pain and determination clear in his voice. That emptiness you feel, that gaping hole in your heart that can never be filled, I know it too. Elsa's moan escaped her lips. She then quickly covered her mouth in embarrassment. Subaru, now resting his arm that held the blade, continues his song that sounded like a bird's courting Elsa. For a brief moment in my life, that person I respected the most filled my heart. I still kept their words, and I try to live up to that every single day. I won't be able to keep all the promises, but if I manage to keep a single one, then I can die without regret. So please, respect this promise between us, Elsa. Elsa spoke with clear satisfaction and allure. Natsuki Subaru, you truly are my soulmate. Even if you don't love me back, I promise you I shall respect your resolve, and remember you till the day I die. Subaru smiled and readied his weapon, and for the first time in his life, his mind was clear. Their fighting no longer looked like desperate fighting for survival. Sure, each one wanted to win by brutalizing the other, but their faces were telling a different story. It was the story of two tormented souls dancing together in a cruel, cold world. As if they wanted to warm the world with their movements alone. Hers fast and precise, his strong and unforgiving. But alas, as if some sort of déjà vu, the blade was destined to return to the true owner. A blushing smile painted across Elsa's face, and she went to open her long-awaited present. With speed that long surpassed the sound barrier, her blade approached his abdomen slowly in her mind. Slowly, and then it stopped? She looked at his face, which portrayed a look of indifference and extreme focus. But as soon as he noticed it too, he widened his eyes in shock. She had to back away, her blade in hand. Impossible, Oni-sama's infinity. I used it too? Subaru smiled for a brief moment before sadness washed it away. His Soden Jutsushiki, inherited CT. If only I had it sooner. Elsa narrowed her eyes in jealousy. It was obvious now that Subaru did not have a space in his heart for her. You're a cruel man, you know that. I know, you played with my heart. I know, I still beg of you to keep your promise, you're a hopeless man, I guess. Sigh, it is at least what I can do for my first true love. It was Subaru's time on the offensive. He knew he needed to use his new power sparingly, activating infinity only as the knife edged closer to his body. Each time the blade got stuck on the spatial field, he struck the blade with his hand. After the third strike on the same spot, thanks to his six eyes' precision, the blade broke. That blade is something. Normal weapons couldn't hope to withstand such a strike once, let alone 3 times. All the better, Tilda. This allows me to get even more intimate with you. It was looking like Subaru was truly gaining the upper hand. He could now focus entirely on offense while keeping her hands away with a flash of infinity. Chunks of her flesh contorted, on some occasions exploded if it was not the center of mass, for example, an edge of a shoulder, her thigh extremity, her 2 fingers, a well-placed chunk of her ribs just gone. Her jaw once again, alongside her nose. Then a triple strike with his right leg broke her femur, ribs, and arm. She prioritized healing her jaw. You seem tired, was all she told him. Subaru's eyes and nose started bleeding. Ah, so I've run off the gas for infinity. His lips trembled in fright, overusing his Soden Jutsushiki, inherited CT. His brain has strained too much. He could still use his Juryoku Sosa, CE manipulation, but that would mean engaging in a fight with Elsa without any protection. Subaru wasn't too pleased with that inevitable fact, still he had to conquer his fear if he wanted to survive. So, I can finally reach your warmth. You truly are a cruel man for not answering my affection. But I will forgive you regardless because your bloody tears are compensation enough. Subaru despaired. I could keep it for barely a minute. Truly, I am an inferior version of Oni-sama. You're not inferior to me. Please receive all that I am. Elsa comforted him with surprising genuineness. That didn't mean she didn't want him opened up on a surgery table though. It was a truly bloody battle. Bones were breaking all around, the room was filled with a stench of blood. Elsa's regeneration slows down. She can fight only with her right, while Subaru is barely standing. Technically, he could move both his arms, but he was going to bet his all on the least damaged right one. Our dance is reaching its fiery finish, darling. I am betting on this last attack too, Elsa. They rush each other and they embrace. Subaru's back is pierced, Elsa's hand drives it through his abdomen. Subaru's right hand holds Elsa's heart, and his hand makes its way into her chest. This is it for me. She kissed his nape. Fighting through the pain, Subaru is speaking in uneven intervals. I was. able to catch up to you, Elsa, Elsa on the other hand does not have such problems, which only shows the type of monster she is. Yes. Only you can have my heart, Subaru. Do you feel my warmth, Elsa? Guhak. Subaru forced a coagulation of blood out his mouth. Yes. I believe I was born for this moment. I can't say the same. There is still so much I regret, so much I want to do. I've fallen for such a terrible man, she cried. But thank you. Elsa's eyes widen. She backs away to see his face. Subaru gathers his resolve and speaks quietly, shallowly, and unevenly small breaths, as a Jujutsushi, I was destined to die alone. A gruesome death, full of regrets. Thank you for being here in my last moments. She hugs him with her broken left hand. I'll be waiting for you in the afterlife. She smiled. The last tear ran down her face. I guess the last of her regeneration just wore out. What a scary woman. Not being able to stand anymore, he falls on his back, separating from the black hair assassin who fell in the polar opposite direction. Her heart was still in his hand. I guess I'll die alone after all. It seems that Elsa was the first one to go over the edge and into the afterlife, leaving Subaru behind, but soon he will chase after her himself. It hurts so much. I got another chance and it already slipped through my fingers. There are no convenient things such as do-overs, no matter how much Subaru wished to get one more chance. Damn it, just where is my happy ending? The cold enveloped Subaru. There was no feeling in his limbs and body. The sounds and world seemed to fade away. In this encroaching darkness, Subaru imagined the smile of someone precious he for once managed not to fail. It was not a fate Subaru could accept. He hated it. If only he didn't have to die. Subaru was just greedy and envious like that. But not a bad way to go, hey, compared to death and failure, instead of just death. It doesn't suck as much. Although this made him wonder, is any of this even real? Did he perhaps imagine this entire day? A sort of last coping mechanism while his brain shuts down. One last fantastical delusion to cope with a loss in his real life. To comfort himself that he is not such an irredeemable failure. With his fleeting embers of consciousness, he cursed such a conclusion. He refused to accept such utter mockery. To be spitted upon with such vile ridicule. To die is such a dishonor. To bathe himself in self-pity with his body still lying in the tomb of the star corridor, mocked by all the stars and constellations. Even having his self shut down, he still cursed and raged against it. Subaru, a girly shriek of silver bells pierced his last moment in his dying brain. Natsuki Subaru has died. Arc 1 Chapter 3. The world's strongest, compulsory chapter translation reminder. Jujutsu, curse arts, Jujutsushi. Circa A. Sorcerers, shamans, Juryoku, cursed energy, Juryoku Sosa, CE manipulation, Jutsushiki, cursed techniques, Shitoku Jutsushiki, innate CT, Soden Jutsushiki, inherited CT, Hanten Jutsushiki, RCT, Jutsushiki Hanten, CT. Reversal, Jutsushiki Hunten, CT. Lapse, Hajutsuhi. Non-sorcerers. Jusashi, curse users, Jurei, cursed spirits. Or simply, Noroi, curses, Juin, cursed mark, Jugyu, cursed tools. Oi, kid, can you hear me? A man offers an appa. Do you want an appa or not? I need a moment. Subaru felt a tingling fatigue and crackling discomfort, which was partially numbed by his confusion. Buy, or get lost. You're holding up a line. Subaru reached for the zipper pocket on his Jujutsu jacket where he placed the coin pouch from that lady if he needed more coin projectiles. Not finding anything there, which only serves to confuse him more, as he reaches to check his pocket on the inside of his jacket where he formerly kept his wallet safe. Not anymore now that his Japanese currency is useless. There he finds the coin pouch that was given to him by a nice old lady. What a rude guy, don't you remember? As he reaches into his coin pouch he finds 5 gold coins. He searches for his wallet in another zipper pocket from his left side, and there he sees 6 coins from his homeland. Huh, why do you seem so spooked as you've seen a ghost? You'll scare the customers away, right? I'll have 1 bag of appas. I have a gold coin. The appa guy takes it and starts packing. There was something off in the atmosphere. It just felt wrong. Just a few moments ago he was in pain, and he was lying on the floor slowly and in the next he is here standing up, buying appas. The feeling of that painful sensation upon opening his eyes finally somewhat subsided. And with this recovery from pain and stupor that numbed it, Subaru took note of a certain detail. The Appa guy was acting cold towards him. Now the indignant student didn't want to assume anything about the Appa guy's character, but didn't he rescue his daughter yesterday? A question was stuck in his throat, fear from the unknown gnawed at him, yet it must be asked or nothing would change. When stricken by tragedy, your only option is to move forward or perish. Since Subaru managed to survive even life-threatening injuries, it seems, in comparison to that, asking one simple question is nothing, and so he will proceed with caution. Hey mister, do you perhaps remember me by any chance? Kid, I would have remembered the face of a big-shot bastard, who pays with gold coins. This is the first time that I've seen your ugly mug. He hands him the bag and the change, which Subaru throws into the pouch and the pouch inside his inner pocket. Subaru mindlessly walks to the same place he had been at yesterday. However, he decides to go on a different street. He hands him the bag and the change, which Subaru throws into the pouch and the pouch inside his inner pocket. Subaru mindlessly walks to the same place he had been at yesterday. However, he decides to go on a different street. He lifts his shirt only to find no scar there. All my funds got returned too. After sitting down on some stairs, he finally could free up his hands and his mind. It is strange. How did he revive? Why doesn't the Appa guy remember him? Not to mention his money. That was the strangest thing of all. Subaru could understand if someone picked up the Japanese coins and put them inside his wallet. But to take 19 silver and 16 coins and give back a full gold coin. That was completely incomprehensible. My glasses are back on too. What jutsushiki, cursed technique, is this? He had a hunch, and the only way to confirm it was to pick up the phone and type in his password, knowing that nobody except him could unlock the phone, especially in this new world. Recent picture is only when I tried to figure out what happened to my eye. No felt or Ram-G. I think that's my biggest clue to what happened, as if my time after standing in front of the Appa guy somehow got deleted. He finished an Appa, throwing what remained and started eating another. He looks at the sky. Yes, it is about the same time it happened yesterday, or rather my perception of yesterday. Was I thrown in the same situation? This could be a parallel world with different sets of reoccurring events. Cough up your money and we will let you live. I guess not. The circus trio just arrived. Subaru waves at them. Hey, just checking something. Do you guys remember me? Look at this self-important asshole. Anorexic prisoner scoffs. Why would we remember some shit stain like you? Said the midget. This isn't time to reminisce about the old crew, but to pay our fee, said the pirate ugly giant. Hee. Even your dialogue is ironic as hell. Subaru facepalms. Subaru starts narrating in his head as he listens to his attackers. What's with this scallywag? Said the pirate gangsta. Have you lost it? Anorexia incarnate ponders hungrily. You think this is a joke? A biggest joke on the planet speaks from a frog's perspective. Fa ha ha ha. Oh man, right. I guess I should test the event sequence a bit further. I think it's about the same time as last time. I predict a small girl should walk behind you and jump on a roof, right about now. They each turn around and look repeatedly between Subaru and what he'd told was behind them. The student scratched his head with an annoyed expression, irritated at the world for not obeying his prediction even as he had given plenty of waiting time. I guess not. Why though? Is it because it was a different street? Shit, I messed up. I think the guy has a few screws loose, said the guy in almost a straight jacket with cuffs on his hand. I think we should end this farce. Talking mice squeals, leave her shiny behind you and get lost. Okay, now he's not even trying to hide, he's trying to plunder me matey. Subaru wipes the tears of suppressed laughter. Oh god. Still trying to calm himself. How should I turn this situation around? Hey guys, does this city have a police force, guards, knights, or something like that? Snitches get the stitches. Prisoner prison talked while getting a shank. Are you kidding me now, guards? Help me, I am being robbed. Subaru pulled off a convincing female voice. The trio grimaced in worry. Please, somebody, they're looking at me with such hungry eyes. I'm scared. What the hell are you doing, mate? Cut that out. Have you no dignity as a man? I'm pretty sure you know which line each one said by now, yawn. You don't? Just look at the irony. You'll figure it out. Did he just break the fourth wall? Author. Kya, they're ripping my clothes off. Subaru waited then relented. Damn, to think such an impeccable performance even my Oni-sama would be proud of, will fall on deaf ears. Now I'm just going to murder ya. The trio started to approach him. Sigh, I can't say I didn't at least try to resolve this the peaceful way. Subaru takes up a fighting stance. That's enough. An authoritative and firm yet pleasant to ears tenor voice from a young man fills the alleyway. Subaru remained with his back turned. Hey, it seems I don't have to get my hands dirty. The pirate captain stands there petrified, red hair, and a knight's sword, with scratches made by dragon claws. It can't be. Reinhard, the master swordsman Reinhard? Seems I don't need to introduce myself. Although that nickname is a bit too much. A melodious tone rings out. Subaru stiffened. That voice. Subaru could not look back. He closed his eyes, a lump stuck in his throat. I don't know how my modest strength could aid him. Reinhard moves parallel to Subaru, then continues. But if you wish to resort to extreme measures, as a knight, I would have to fight back. He reaches for his sword. Screw this. It's not worth it. I guess the pirate is the captain of the group. Hey, Subaru quipped one final time, easing his tension and preparing for what he must do. I'm glad we're both safe. Are you unhurt? The voice of a man Subaru was familiar with was stirring a storm in Subaru's mind. Subaru takes his glasses off, gathering his resolve. They are petrified by your presence. He turns to a mysterious man and opens his eyes. Reinhard noticed how his sword flinched. You seem disturbed. Is everything all right? Reinhard asked slowly. After a momentary disappointment toward the bearer of a familiar voice, his hopes for the reunion were crushed. Now he only had to extinguish any bargaining his mind tried to conjure. This person in front of him is different. His Juryoku, cursed energy, signature is different and unrefined. His attitude is different. He behaves differently. He looks differently. The only thing they shared is the voice, and technically a blue eye. The red-haired guard's eyes were deeper blue like an ocean. The 6 eyes were bright blue like the sky at noon. And of course, there is one more thing they have in common. Subaru lets this new emotion overtake him. Reinhard. He puts his glasses back on. With a scared, trembling voice when confronting an immeasurable, unreachable power. I'm not in any shape to process this and come up with a laid-back conversation. So I will just tell the truth. What am I about to tell you? I don't confide in many people, since it could be used against me. The fiery red-haired white knight's blue eyes drooped. While he was happy someone was ready to confine him, he also knew that whatever this raven-haired youth was going through forced him to confess despite his wishes. Given how his demeanor shifted once he saw Reinhard, the knight shakes his head. He isn't that shallow of a man. He can't just assume everyone is petrified of him. There are kind people in this world too. I understand. I promise on my knight's honor to keep your secret safe. Good. Your voice is very nostalgic, so I'll believe in your humble nice guy nature. The shock from his words was so severe not even his innate gift could prevent him from flinching. There was a single thought written all over Reinhard's face. Did he just say my voice is nostalgic? A new emotion dawns on him. Sensing the relief when the raven-haired youth voiced those words to him, Reinhard confirmed that indeed the statement was true. But the swordsman pushes the hope down, the best he could. You honor me too much. May I know your name? Subaru from the Gojo clan, but you can call me Nitsuki Subaru for now. Gojo clan? Do you mean you don't want to take the Gojo surname? Currently I'm unworthy, so no? Subaru looked squeamish. I see. Reinhard's lips thinned as he gave Subaru an understanding nod. Right, thanks for gestures of sympathy. You are a nice guy. Subaru sighs in relief. I'm probably going to sound stupid, so I will need you to fill me in on some information about your world. He scratched the behind of his head sheepishly. Do you mean, you're not from here, Subaru-kun? The way the young man behaves, those strange clothes, those impossibly dark glasses. He hadn't even expressed his gratitude properly, instead opted to engage in casual conversation with the sword saint of all people. Could it be that his reason for fear is also different, kun? Subaru raised his eyebrow. The state in his mind now matched the fiery crimson color of his hair. He had been too familiar for someone of his reputation. Reinhard cursed himself, for it wasn't his place to act friendly. Nobody asked him to use this informal familiar tone, nor did anyone ever will. It is undesirable, especially for him. The only option was to apologize profusely as he raised his hands to his chest in surrender. Forgive me, it's just that I can be at ease with someone I can sympathize with. Subaru smiles, feeling a lot more comfortable, dare say relieved by the words of Mr. Bright Sky himself. Or was it Blue Sky? Subaru strokes the back of his head with his right arm. No, it's all right, Reinhard-kun, it makes it even easier for me to tell the truth. No, I am not from this world. I don't know how or why, all that matters is that I am here now. Both men felt like a crushing weight was lifted off their respective shoulders. Still, for one of them, the feeling extinguished quickly, as there was a need for the red flames of compassion and empathy for the other's unfortunate circumstances. That must have been tough for you. Nah, I'll manage somehow. Subaru gave a warm smile, but his eyes were not completely aligned with that decision. There was an understanding between those soul mirrors of blue. This was an inappropriate time and place to process such a tough subject, and Sword Saint could not simply cut the problem away, no matter how he desired to. Now is the time to help him get his bearings. What did you want to talk about, Subaru-kun? All he can offer now is to listen, and perhaps, should he ask for it later, a place to stay. Would it be correct to call it ability? I mean, it gets passed down genetically and inherited in the same family every 400 to 500 years. Deep in thought, he tries to explain it first to himself. 6 Eyes is technically a Soden Jutsushiki, inherited CT, tied with a binding vow to Tengen. But it is also an essential physical part of the body, something that doesn't need Juryoku, cursed energy, to operate, and it always is turned on, till death. Taking this thought as good as any other is going to be, Subaru hesitantly decides to go all in with this explanation. I have physical characteristics that allow me to see the world better, the smallest details, movement of someone's body, space between us to the smallest degree. I have similarly excellent vision at a very far away distance in surprisingly great detail. Finally, I can also see the flow of energy. Oh, I see, is it some kind of divine protection? What is it called? 6 Eyes. The 6 Eyes name comes from the 5 eyes of enlightenment. The first eye is the physical eye and it sees everything normal humans do. Still, one must become aware of their physical eye to truly obtain it and begin their journey to ascend to Buddhahood. The second eye is the heavenly eye and it is tasked with observing the world from the heavens. It can observe things unbelievably close and very far away, throughout night and day. Aware of all that surrounds us, perhaps even energy itself. So far Subaru has explained up to heaven's eye to Reinhard. The red sun incarnate seemed to ponder and try to illuminate something, and reveal its secrets. Something Subaru was not quite aware of. No, I can't find it or ask for it. What do you mean? I can gain any divine protection I need on any occasion? Reinhard proclaimed as if it was the most normal thing he could utter. Something so integral to his being it might as well hold the same innate automatic bodily mechanism as breathing. Subaru did not like that. He was frustrated, and it left him feeling kinda invaded and taken advantage of. Are you kidding? What's this? Are you the entire world's favorite child or something? And did you try to steal my ability? What the hell, man? Aha, I'm sorry, please don't hold it against me. He truly was an inconsiderate man, wasn't he? A jealous thief who jumps at the opportunity to take everything that makes a person special and hoard it for himself. He hadn't changed ever since he was a child, with his insignificant, grubby, little hands and his sticky fingers. Just how arrogant can he be to subconsciously desire to be better than anyone? Those were the truly enormously heavy emotions Subaru watched inside Reinhard. That anger and sadness from Reinhard, the 6 Eyes user interpreted as directed at Subaru himself, and with it, he realized how petty he was. If anything, Reinhard is the type of guy who would use his talents far better than he ever could. Subaru knew he would most likely save a lot of people. Why was he being this petulant little child, preventing a hero from doing something for the greater good, just because he wants to feel special? This sorry excuse for a human that can only take and ruin lives has shouted its vitriol curses at the crimson bright rays of the compassionate, merciful red sun. This emotion again. A disgusting thing, born from the impassable distance between them. Despi no, he cannot do that to Reinhard even in the uncontrollable storm in his mind. Quickly shaking his head, Subaru decided on a new, more cheerful routine. I'll let it slide this time because you're such a nice guy, Reinhard, Kian. Subaru uses an overly joking tone and voice, posing with a V sign to his eye that winked, and for the finishing touch, his tongue was sticking out. I'm glad, Reinhard sighs in relief. Anyways, you see these glasses I wear, right? Subaru readjusts them even closer. Yes, they are quite dark, so much that your eyes can't be seen. This helps me not see everything all the time because my eyes and mind start to hurt. What a terrible drawback. Reinhard's expression was nothing but compassionate. Subaru nods his head, a thin smile forming on his face. When I looked at you, it was similar to a sensation of staring into the sun. Reinhard instantly grimaced with a worried face and nervousness crept into his voice. I hope you're exaggerating, I wouldn't want to cause you pain. I might be messing with you, just a bit. Subaru showed the metaphorical short distance between his thumb and index finger. I saw your body covered with so many colors radiating with energy, like an aura. I guess that's your many divine protections. That would be correct. Reinhard adds timidly, it wasn't a subject that attracted people to try and become friends with him, that's for sure. I saw it on only one more person in my short time in this city, and it made me uncomfortable enough even thinking about engaging in a fight with them. They only had one divine protection. Do you understand now why I was so on edge around you? Raising his index finger to the sky in front of his chest, he highlighted the importance Subaru had to take into consideration when analyzing a potential opponent. While the divine protections are rare and rarely useful, so much so that most of those fodder civilian side characters' blessings can even go unnoticed their whole lives. However, once you stumble upon the more useful ones, it creates an impassable distance between people of the same physical and training class. In a state Subaru was in, at a slightly above average night level or around semi to full grade 3 Jujutsu, cursed arts, sorcerers, shamans, Subaru had legitimate reasons to be wary of those blessed individuals. Reinhard in turn looked devastated, but also he felt like an idiot for not realizing it sooner, needing Subaru to clarify everything to him. Just how is he supposed to serve the kingdom if he can't realize something so obvious? With those emotions in his heart, he spoke with great regret. It is my greatest shame as a knight to not be able to reassure you. I don't think I deserve to be your friend anymore. Reinhard bows respectfully. This type of behavior makes someone wonder just what type of tough upbringing Reinhard has. If it was true, then it was horrible for someone to like a person more because you can sympathize with them, but Subaru couldn't help himself. He started to regard him as a close friend. Stop saying stupid things. I decide who my friend is or not. Subaru karate chops Reinhard's bowed head. Reinhard of course had ways to not only harm but totally embarrass Subaru at its worst, and the bare minimum simply dodging effortlessly the incoming strike. Yet, Reinhard decided should Subaru deem it worthy to punish him, he would take the full brunt of an attack in all of its vindictive glory. Instead, he got a light tap. They both laugh. This is how friends act, isn't it? Is what both men thought. A warm feeling in their chest, completely forgetting the depths of self-loathing they inflicted on themselves and each other. Like some magic wand had rewritten the world around them and their minds themselves. A wish so pure only a child could make it. To stop all conflict in the world. Although Subaru could not get serious in this new light atmosphere, he could at least try to salvage some level of professionalism. I was uneasy not because you were powerful. It was because right now I don't have enough strength to defend myself, should the situation arise. But I will get stronger and surpass you. Even if most of Subaru was innocently proclaiming a naive dream of greatness, there was also self-acknowledgement that in his core Subaru's intentions weren't as pure. Still, it was all right to say such things, right? Even if it's born from that disgusting thing. Even if Subaru's wish and goal are born from the sulfuric pits of his soul, he can choose the way it grows and what purpose it fulfills. Even if Satoru desired an equal, something Subaru couldn't provide no matter how hard he tried. How will you achieve that? Reinhard was amazed. He had a lot of observations to pick from that fascinated him. Not only is someone resolved to challenge him in his domain, but has boldly proclaimed that he'll get even stronger than the strongest man in this world and who knows how many more worlds. Not even Reinhard knew what the limits and capabilities of his powers were, since the only time he could cut loose the duel got interrupted to not escalate to the collateral damage. Probably the best part was that Subaru did all of this while knowing exactly the distance between the two. Reinhard with all of his divinity and Subaru with all of his mediocrity. Just what type of power was Subaru banking his hopes on? Reinhard couldn't help but get hyped up. Taking Reinhard out of his thoughts, Subaru begins his lecture by pointing at his eyes. My 6 eyes allow me to better manipulate energy your world is still unaware of, as far as I have seen. What do you mean? Like an excited puppy, expectant for an answer to his breath-stopping curiosity, Reinhard pleaded to know how Subaru would reach him. It's called Juryoku, cursed energy. It is caused by people's negative emotions. You have to have a talent to even sense it, let alone use it. If you train with it, it allows you to do some pretty neat stuff. Do I also possess said Juryoku? Reinhard knew that he would be stalling with this question, but he simply couldn't help himself. It was in his nature to always look for a way to someday improve himself should the occasion arrive. Only in great need, he would ask for power, for he already has everything. He can't make the same mistake thrice. And now it was finally time for Reinhard to be appraised. Stroking his chin and lowering his head so that his eyes can look above his glasses, squinting, the 6 eyes user gives his evaluation. Quite a lot. Not among the strongest, but still nothing to scoff at. Disappointed by such a brisk answer, Reinhard just had to put in the effort and make it more obvious. Can I also use it? I don't know, if you haven't, you probably won't be able to. I have to warn you, this power has corrupted many Jujutsushi, cursed arts, sorcerers, shamans, who turn to a life of Jusashi, curse users, so I wouldn't recommend it. Your world already has other cleaner kinds of power. Subaru waved his dominant right hand left and right as if it were a drinking bird toy at a fast interval. A motion to subvert the importance of a brand new power system in this world. Reinhard, despite the warning, contemplated an entirely different issue that he handpicked from Subaru's explanation. You said Jujutsushi, cursed arts, sorcerers, shamans. What does it have to do with Juryoku, cursed energy? Those who utilize Juryoku by the means of Jujutsu, curse arts, are called Jujutsushi. How strange. May I ask you to confirm something for me? Subaru, despite the confusion at Reinhard's being particular about most bare bones of explanations, nods his head, determined to find out the need for such detailed investigation. Are you perhaps familiar with the Holy Kingdom of Gusteko? Scanning and scouring through his memories, he quickly drew a blank. First time I heard of it. Why? Well, Jujutsushi, practitioners of Jujutsu, curse arts, are a rare and dwindling group inside the Holy Kingdom of Gusteko. They specialize in a magic subclass that is mostly used in assassination methods. Subaru remembered what Puck had said to him. But now that he thought about it, should he be so reliant to this religious extent, just because a spirit had 400 years on his belt, or in this case in his strange purple bag? By the way, what is in that thing? What could a spirit possibly carry or need? A food for thought at a later date. Right now Subaru was feeling hopeful for some nostalgia. Perhaps he could even find a teacher. Surely they know better than him, at least in a practical sense. Barely holding his enthusiasm, Subaru, with stars in his eyes, pleaded for Reinhard's info. Really? Do you know what type of techniques they use by any chance? Reinhard was repulsed by the elation of the raven-haired teen, but he didn't want to assume anything, so his face and voice didn't show it. Reinhard, despite the apprehension, gave a neutral explanation. Techniques? As far as I know, Jujutsu, curse arts, is an application of mana in the shape of noroi, curses, with a touch giving a target Juin, cursed mark. An alternative method to apply noroi, curses, is with a jugyu, cursed tools, which can curse someone from a medium distance. My grandfather's sworn enemy had several rings that applied different effects and harm to the body. Illness, rotting or burning. Indeed, Reinhard's grandfather wasn't keen on sharing his stories of the past. Very few that he heard as a child were appropriate for his age. After that, Reinhard, he missed his chance to get closer to his grandfather, perhaps permanently. Luckily, Carol and Grimm would occasionally mention some of the really important events to satiate Reinhard's curiosity, on a good day. While Reinhard was mentally thanking his family staff friends who might as well be family members, Subaru admitted to himself that in hindsight he should have expected disappointment. Ah, I see. Well, my version of Jujutsu, cursed arts, could replicate something similar to that degree, but it's heavily specialized and often impractical. Think of my Jujutsu as combining martial arts and adding special traits to attacks determined by your Shitoku Jutsushiki, innate CT. Getting a basic understanding, Reinhard was truly relieved that Subaru's choice of metaphysical study only held a similar namesake. That sounds like a much more honorable iteration of Jujutsu's namesake. Using curses for torture, not to mention how unsightly painful death can be produced from one. I am glad you aren't that type of person who would resort to such methods. Right. Honorable. Jujutsushi, cursed arts, sorcerers, shamans, mostly operated on the gray spectrum. There are Jusashi, curse users, who are just straight up scum. Then there are rigid traditionalist higher-ups that probably have a moderate amount of corruption and cater to self-interest. But that's sort of expected from the government-sanctioned business body. Jujutsushi, if they belong to the big families, are not that far from the underhanded methods. Just ask a Zenin clan member. Not that the other two big families are flawless. Subaru's case is an example of unfair treatment, but that's because he is a twin of a great man, so it is understandable. As for regular Jujutsushi, well, I guess there are some idealistic fools out there. A wistful smile creeps on Subaru's face. I guess I could try to emulate that. But I should get back on track. I have some questions about the world. Happy with his friend's resolution, the knight grew even more eager to provide directions and advice. Please ask away, I would love to help out as much as I can. There is a third characteristic that everyone seemingly possesses. This swirling mass in their torso. There is red, green, yellow, blue, white, black, and see-through, just like water, in your case. Subaru unintentionally emphasized black because it was the color of the gate, but he hadn't mentioned that bit. He still wanted to have an element of surprise on the Sword Saint. Reinhard could only stare in bewilderment at what Subaru was insinuating. Do you mean magic gates? You can see magic gates? The third eye of enlightenment, also known as wisdom's eye, can deconstruct things from the smallest details to nothingness. Moving away from the philosophical and using a more scientific approach, for a moment, if we were to observe a person to atoms, we would find out that there is only a smart part that is consistent with matter, or better said, subatomic particles. Most of it is just space. That is the philosophy of the third eye, dissecting, reducing, disassembling until nothing remains. With the third eye, Subaru can see through a person and discern all they are made of. For such a remarkable feat, Subaru had a rather unremarkable answer: I guess so. Why doesn't yours have a color? That's because it's defective. I can still use it to empower my attacks with mana. Oh cool. So you use it similar to Juryoku, cursed energy, in some aspects. Could you give me information on what other colors of magical gates do? Well, I have only the basic knowledge of it. Red would probably be fire, the ability to control temperature. Blue is water, but besides water control, you can heal. Green is wind. With it you can use wind to slash and control air outside your body. Yellow is earth, it's mostly defensive magic. Reinhard gave the barest of bones explanation. Not only is the magic in the kingdom underdeveloped and uncommon knowledge, but because of Reinhard's special constitution, he needn't worry nor study what the upper limit of magic is. Because it is all useless before him, 4/5 of the effectiveness of every magic type simply evaporates as if it never existed when coming into contact with him. In truth, he was more interested in history, culture, and politics. Not to mention his busy schedule. Subaru withheld his frustration. What about white and black? To him, this knowledge was crucial because it would open up a potential route for more power. He needed more clearance. However, such a convenient thing was impossible. If things were different, perhaps Reinhard would have a much more useful answer than what he resolved to convey. Those are yang and yin magic. They are rare, so I wouldn't know much about what they can do. From Reinhard's point of view, not only are those two branches even more exceptionally rare to naturally occur in a population, combined with the lack of talent most of the people are blessed with, and the sheer underdevelopment compared to a much more versatile 4-based elemental system. It was so unlikely that Subaru would come across someone competent in such areas it might as well not exist. Perhaps if Reinhard knew that Subaru had a yin magic gate, he would have been more helpful. On second thought, perhaps not. Reinhard would most likely make things worse and discourage Subaru from pursuing that branch of knowledge, deeming it worthless to become stronger. Slightly disappointed, it seemed Subaru would have to do with what he already had. Still, he was joyful with what little he obtained. That cleared a lot of questions for me. Thanks a lot, Reinhard. Oh, hey, do you want an appa? Feeling extremely grateful, Subaru just had to do something, raising his hands in protest. Please, I couldn't possibly, Subaru yelled in a joking tone. Shut up, you want to be my friend, right? So just enjoy this with me. Honestly, now I feel bad for my Oni-sama, it must have been tough getting me out of my shell. Thank you, Subaru-kun. Finally giving in to peer pressure, Reinhard takes the appa offered to him. Crossing his arms and boisterously nodding, Subaru was preparing to brag. That's right. As Oni-sama always told me, it's better to say one thank you than a lot of sorries. Hey, you hold your brother in high regard, yes. He was the best. Subaru lowers his head. This was not the time to have a breakdown. So he tried his best to hold the crumbling water dam. For now, not a single drop escaped. The Sword Saint, in typical Reinhard fashion, managed to somehow find a way to blame himself, so with a shaky voice he tried to apologize. Subaru. I'm. Taking a deep breath, the raven-haired Jujutsushi rationalizes, trying his best to hide away the dejectedness in his voice with acceptance. There is nothing I can do about it now. But I can try something else. I can try to save more people from now on. Become the strongest so that I can stand proud with those like myself, and perhaps even someone like me can help change the world. Subaru so desperately wanted power. He was jealous of everyone who had it and resentful of anyone who obtained it with little to no effort. The only person spared from the scorn was his brother. And Subaru was unashamedly biased in that regard. While envy was the true origin of his desire to get stronger, this doesn't mean that what he just said wasn't true or that it was disingenuous. To every darkness, there is also light, and vice versa. Reinhard had difficulty describing the motion on his face. Because of his divine protection of the actor, it was stoic, but for someone possessing the six eyes, such simple tricks were child's play. Yet in this exact moment, such realization was tossed away, for Subaru had something else to occupy his mind. That's right. I only managed to defeat Elsa with help, with everyone's help. Subaru scratched the back of his head, trying to sound neutral, but heaviness still crept in his tone. I have a long road ahead of me, and right now I am not anywhere near Onisama's level. I can barely hold my own. Subaru, you have been honest with me so far, and I can't thank you enough for it. So let me repay you in kind. Interrupting that destructive train of thought, Reinhard was readying himself for what he had to make spotlessly clear to his friend. A friend who was surprised by a sudden change in tone. Reinhard was serious. Perhaps too serious, but also compassionate? Despite the immense weight he now seems to gain and carry on his shoulders, he set it all aside for his new best friend. Even if there is a chance Subaru doesn't see him the same way, he will make sure that it becomes a reality. With much conviction in his voice, he spoke. This sword is Astri's family heirloom, and in this world, it is known to give its user the ability to win any fight with one swing no matter what. Subaru scoffs at the sheer absurdity, but he does accept it as truth. After all, he saw the sword and registered it as a positive version of a cursed tool. That's ridiculous, but why are you telling me this? As if regretting deeply, he explains something he often laments. You see, this sword won't leave its scabbard unless it recognizes a worthy opponent. When you took your glasses off, it shook. The sword didn't unlock, but I think it recognized your talent. That's quite a binding vow, but wait, what did you mean by that last sentence, Rain-kun? Subaru's mind was slow on that last part, and for a completely justified reason. After hearing such a restriction right after such an absurd concept like a guaranteed win, it was hard to focus on anything else. Subaru-kun, I believe you have the potential to surpass even the master swordsman one day. Subaru was dumbstruck by this revelation. He manages to gather a resolve to ask him, you mean it? The red-haired beacon of light and hope nods. Subaru covers his face. What the hell, man? After wiping his face, he points his finger at Reinhard, flustered. Listen here, this world's strongest, I'll be mad if you just stay stagnant. I won't forgive you, like seriously, if I ever surpass you, I'll beat you to a pulp. So, don't slack off and continue to be amazing. Subaru extended his fist stiffly, pointing at the gentleman swordsman who was getting ready to receive the most sacred of men's greetings. Reinhard laughed heartily. For just a moment he was not the sword saint of Astri's family. He was just Reinhard, Subaru's friend. I'll see you at the top, future strongest. He fist bumped Subaru, visibly cringing at his next course of action. Subaru was going to ask for something extremely selfish. This must be the worst timing ever. Are you perhaps on duty, Reinhard-san? Today is my day off. Subaru seems bashful, and scratches his cheek with his index finger. Are you just being considerate of me? I'd hate to take your time any longer, I was telling the truth. Please make use of me however you'd like. Subaru still hesitated, and all because Reinhard was being too considerate, which ironically made him not want to abuse Reinhard's kindness even more. He seemed like the kind of guy who would choose to be late for a job meeting to save a cat from drowning back on Earth. There was no way Subaru could take advantage of that, so he protested, but you are wearing your formal night clothes. You look like a shining white knight, not to mention your family sword which screams, I'm on duty, my people need me. Acting out a theatrical overdramatic hero, Subaru flashes many equally flashy poses, all the while his voice is deep and filled with urgency and resolve. He finishes the act with closed eyes and his clenched fist raised to his head in front of his face. Reinhard chuckled. It is at times like these that I realize that you truly are from another world. These are not my duty clothes, but rather Astria family estate issued uniform for informal situations. Feeling a bit relieved, but still ashamed for having to beg for assistance, Subaru manages to string his words up. That's good because there is something that might happen today. And a certain someone might need saving, I'm not entirely sure. Reinhard's face turns serious, I'm listening. Subaru could be just imagining, but Reinhardt's body language and everything else conveyed a fierce determination unlike any other. It was as if the only reason the knight restrained himself to not immediately go on a crusade is because Subaru was still waiting to provide him with a location and details. Taken aback, he had to confirm his suspicion. You're just going to believe me like that, no questions asked? Reinhardt shakes his head. I have complete faith in you, Subaru-kun. Subaru grumbles, thinking, he is so bright even through my glasses. Finding composure again, Subaru gives a professional rundown. All right, the person who will be targeted is called Amelia. I don't know exactly why, but everyone around her, even the children, are unsettled by her, despite how kind-hearted she is. Raising his hand, showing his palm in a gesture to halt, Reinhardt confidently announces. Wait, Subaru, I might have an idea who that person is. Could you perhaps describe her? Subaru blushes. She's the most wonderful person in the world. She has silky silver hair, her eyes are glimmering amethyst purple, and her skin is impeccable and white as snow. Her hands are soft yet firm, the kind of strength to assure you you're worthy to be in her presence. She wears a white dress with purple outliers that perfectly match her skin and eyes. Truly a sight of elegance and beauty. Reinhardt looked uncomfortable, not because Subaru seemed stricken with affection toward the person of such caliber, in every sense of the word. Although that fact is a cause for concern at a later date. One can be excused with Subaru's otherworldly status, but it should be corrected as quickly as possible. What truly unnerved even the sharpest steel of the kingdom was the very fact that the life of that person was targeted at all. And that entailed a major headache should the matter not be resolved discreetly. Thus, with much heaviness in his voice, the sword carefully measured his cutting words. I truly apologize for what I am about to say, and please don't think I am prejudiced against her. Is she perhaps a half-elf? Yes. The response was immediate, however, as he thought about it more closely. Subaru tilted his head in suspicion. Wait, I don't tell you that. How did you know? Subaru, I think that's the reason why she's being attacked. Explain. Subaru's voice was cold. Reinhardt shifted in place, not because he had been affected much by Subaru's mood swing, but because of the girl in danger. Amelia has the misfortune of bearing the resemblance of the jealous witch that nearly destroyed the world 400 years ago. Subaru stumbled and leaned his hand against the wall. That's just cruel. He was shaking. I see. That's why you have so much cursed energy. He desperately tried to stop his shaking, but his body had a will of its own. And that's because it wasn't entirely for Amelia's sake, yet he hadn't registered anything besides the angelic visage of the girl. Only she was on his mind. The entire world. He throws up. The entire world hated you. He remembers every time she was kind to him and others. In his mind, he started to ponder. How many times? How many times did you wish you were never born? Reinhardt puts a hand on Subaru's shoulder. Subaru, pull yourself together. We have a mission. This action helped Subaru to anchor himself from falling off the cliff into a bottomless abyss of self-deprecation. It was his responsibility to figure out her situation from the clues and try his best to alleviate all her suffering, yet he failed. It was the least he could do because Subaru had felt similarly, and he should have prevented that from happening to anyone within reach ever again. Stumbling over his words, he adds weakly, I'm all right. Say, Reinhardt, what was the witch's name? Satella. Subaru was laughing like a madman, but his eyes were crying and his face was angry. All those times I called her by that name because she told me to. How much did it hurt? I'm sorry, I truly am the Noroi. Curse upon the world. Subaru, what's wrong? Have you been attacked? Is it a Noroi curse? Subaru wipes his face and gathers his resolve. Thank you, Reinhardt, thank you for being here for me in this ugly moment of mine. It is true, in a way. I have been cursed. Subaru finishes the sentence in his head. Cursed to hurt those close to me. But I have been given a chance to exorcise that Noroi curse. The knight was not convinced, but seeing the fiery resolve in his friend's eyes, he begrudgingly dropped the issue. I might not be able to understand what troubles you, but I am here to assist you the best I can. He opted to console him despite his concern. Good. Because our first opponent is a nasty one. Have you ever heard of Elsa Granhirt the Bowel Hunter? There was darkness in his tone at the mention of her name. Reinhardt's face forms a scowl. Yes, I had the misfortune of getting to know her handiwork. You've witnessed what my eyes are capable of, right? Reinhardt in turn nods, and he watches as the mood of his friend changes for the worse. There was fear, silent hate, revulsion, despair. But there was something more Reinhard could not quite pinpoint: a dark determination. It was still in its infant stage, and as such it consisted only of the analysis of his opponent. It is a resulting aftermath after having to tuck his tail in defeat after being bitten and beaten. Feeling his bite and bruise marks, he voices what he had learned: her physical prowess outmatches mine. She can regenerate even through my attacks. If a normal person got hit by Juryoku, cursed energy, it would heal several times slower. Not only can she power through it, but withstand a beating from it, and regenerate several times. Why does it sound like you fought such an opponent? Well, I did. Huh? I can't speak, I can't move. No, the world is stopped entirely. The portal opens behind Reinhard and a black hand emerges and heads toward Subaru. Subaru tried to turn on his infinity, but it was useless. If he couldn't move his limbs or any other muscle, then all of his bodily functions were frozen too. If the body is entirely unresponsive, then Juryoku, cursed energy, is unable to rush it to his brain to activate his Shitoku Jutsushiki, innate CT. He couldn't even reinforce his body with Juryoku. Despite all his efforts, he could see the arm extend and enter his body, wandering around his insides playfully until it found and touched his heart. Subaru never felt this vulnerable before. Dragging itself across his heart. Gently, lovingly, maniacally it wraps itself around Subaru's still heart. The boy pleadingly looked at the sword saint. For sympathy, for understanding, for reassurance, for death, for kaishaku, cutting the neck after seppuku, for help, for salvation, for any kind of response, movement, gesture, facial expression, anything. Anything, 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 any. Then the hand gave his heart a crushing squeeze. Pain. My fucking heart is being ripped apart. I sit crushed? Oh god, oh god, oh god. And just like he was returned to regular time flow, Subaru could breathe again, even if it was just violent coughing. Finally free, he never felt such euphoria, even if it was for a brief moment. Ghkkkk, fear and pain. No, it was more like absolute terror. Breathing was quick and shallow. Shaking involuntarily, Subaru was a pitiful sight, and the only saving grace is that he hadn't pissed himself. Subaru, is it the curse again? No. Subaru gasps for air. Give me a moment, this is most probably a binding vow. In exchange for an ability, you inherit its limitations and weaknesses. Just like how you can boost your Juryoku, cursed energy, you need to explain your Jutsushiki, cursed technique, giving his opponents a head start. In this case, in exchange for the ability to re-enter a similar world, or is it the same, after dying? It demands absolute silence from you. In terms of this transaction, there is also evidence of the existence of a contractor. I know that the hand is sentient or has someone sentient backing it. Regardless, it takes the role of the executioner's axe, should I break the rules. The identity of the contractor is unknown, but I can now safely assume this is the person who brought me to this plane of existence. And with it, I can deduce two more pieces of information. This person is a she, and she has an obsession with me for whatever reason. Those chants of love in the tomb of the Star Corridor, they have to be real. The more Subaru thought, the more he calmed down. Even if it was just an illusion, paint over the rotting walls, by trying to rationalize the incomprehensible, the human mind is miraculously lulled into a false sense of control. Such was the coping mechanism of a typical Jujutsushi. Perhaps if Subaru was a normal person, he would keep it as a source of background dread and despair. But this Jujutsushi scholar did not only compartmentalize such information, but he even gained power over it. Okay, I think I have the gist of it. This new curse is a binding vow or a contract, and it has placed upon me a vow of silence. I'm sorry, Reinhard, I can try to wiggle my way around it and give you only half-truths, but I can never tell you exactly how I have this information. Reinhard's expression was serious. He takes a deep breath. If it were any other person, they would get suspicious of this explanation, so please be careful from now on. Subaru nods. Elsa Granhired also tends to conceal her true powers, equipment, and intentions. Not even my 6 eyes could discern every detail. She has 2 blades, one concealed so she could take her opponent off guard. She also has, was it Yang's magic? A young magic cape that makes her withstand a major hit and completely regenerate. I don't know how it works exactly, but it took a powerful magic attack to destroy it. Every word he spoke served to nurture that dark determination within him. From mere observation of wounds to visualize its opponent in his mind. Feeling up their strengths, knowing their preferred attacks and tricks. All are neatly organized for future consideration and contemplation. Subaru. Reinhard had a troubled face. Yes, Reinhard-kun? Please don't use your ability against me. Reinhard was only half joking, yet there was a part of him that was deeply unnerved by the kind of intimacy with his opponent Subaru showcased. Constantly compared himself to her, admitting he was no match for the assassin, it only solidified such conjecture. The only way he could know so much is if he experienced it. Reinhard also could get an emotional read on Subaru, thus he knew the immense fear he held beyond what you would expect from just surviving by accident a single encounter with the Bowel Hunter. It created a paradox in which all evidence points out that by no means Subaru would ever survive an encounter should they ever meet, yet Subaru can be immersed into confrontation regardless. To taste the mettle of your enemy, or worse an ally or an innocent bystander, without ever even stepping into contact. Such a bizarre paradox made even Reinhard a Speedwagon afraid. Unnecessary JoJo reference aside, Subaru tried to process what Reinhard meant by bringing up this seemingly unexpected and extraneous topic. Don't worry, getting any information has a cruel condition placed upon me. I don't wish to use it, for such a petty reason. This meager reassurance did little to bring the hero of Lagunica peace of mind. Until proper words are conveyed with utmost sincerity, the matter shall be further investigated, no matter what affiliation the anomaly originator had with the Sword Saint. Is that condition under the vow of silence? This action, although seemingly birthed from a phobia, due to extreme focus from the Sword Saint, even for a Six Eyes user, fear could be found only in meager traces. Enough for him to conclude such actions are to be expected from anyone, and it was Subaru's fault for being creepy and weird. Subaru nods nervously, yet he gives a sincere smile at the newest fundamental truth he will try his best to keep. Once I become the strongest, I will never use it again. Thank goodness. Reinhard sighed in relief. With one sentence the peace was restored and the threat was sealed. For some reason, it sounds better if said in this order, even though peace can't be restored if the threat isn't sealed first. Perhaps it's because the last word is sealed, thus inducing all-encompassing stasis in the story at the end. While one story arrived at its natural resolution, the story about rescuing a princess from an assassin hasn't even been provided with a path for the hero to challenge the perilous dangers ahead yet. If we follow the formulaic story structure, then the solution will be, of course, found externally, in hero's environment and acquaintances. So here is the plan. With one sentence the chosen Jujutsushi shattered all expectations. There is more? Reinhard looks amazed. There are innocent, wait, maybe not quite the right term. People who are in difficult situation and thus forced to cause mischief. The fourth eye of enlightenment is called the Dharma eye. Once you realize the emptiness in all things, and everything physical is not the true form and true form is meaninglessness, one must rise above it. Even if everything is insubstantial and impermanent, the entirety of the universe is true within the realm all currently resides in. Such realization generates unconditional, indiscriminate universal love and compassion. A path of bodhisattva who possesses the Dharma eye is an acknowledgement of bonds all living things share during life, and celebrating and protecting such bonds. But that's not what you're interested in, isn't it? What the Dharma eye means in terms of power: by observing the flow of energy one can realize binding vows, emotions, intentions, and potential in others. Let's say a bodhisattva noticed a binding vow in one of his students with an evil entity surprisingly contained and sealed within them. What does the bodhisattva see? Very little. He can see the chains that now bind the two souls, yet he cannot read the engravings on them. Bodhisattva is impotently left to ponder the terms of a private contract with the malicious entity. It will unpredictably backfire one day, that is as sure as the rising and setting of the sun. You can only hope to be strong enough to exorcise whatever emerges from it. Let's say a body-hopping Jusashi, curse user, with his Shitoku Jutsushiki, innate CT, is piloting the body of a dead friend of Bodhisattva and posing as the miraculously revived iteration of the said friend. Would the Bodhisattva be able to recognize the imposter among him? Apologies, I promise to not do this again. Author: the answer is no. By using barrier techniques, the body snatcher can keep multiple Jutsushiki, cursed techniques, but can only use one at a time and all others are switched off, even his own Shitoku Jutsushiki, innate CT. Meaning that the body of his friend in its entirety alongside his friend's brain at this exact moment is displaying his very own Juryoku, cursed energy, signature. Yes, the Bodhisattva can see the barriers in his brain, but he doesn't have any idea why his seeming friend would use such unconventional and dare say, from Bodhisattva's point of view, superfluous modification. Even if he knew secrets never passed down through generations, he could only guess what each section contained in its turned-off state. In conclusion, it isn't the Dharma eye that has failed the Bodhisattva. The error exists in computational limitations even for the six eyes user for an infinite amount of scenarios. As well as the universal unbreakable law of the right to privacy of the soul, for the first case, and for the second the error lies in the mechanisms of Jujutsu, curse arts, itself, and the masterful application of Jujutsu as well as con arts from the body-hopping Jusashi, curse user. This tangent is mostly inconsequential to the story of a struggling April's Fool, but it is a nice reminder of gifts that might help him to fulfill his limitless potential synonymous with a divine fool, and that is to become anyone. One example of his potential is that Subaru had a tiny qualification for a bodhisattva by taking Ram and felt into his consideration to protect, besides his currently flawed attachment to Amelia. As a fool, he is still walking a tightrope above the soul-corrupting oblivion on his way to enlightenment. Still, one should keep in mind that despite the peril he is in, he is also much closer to enlightenment than most. A year or two, maybe even 3, of a metaphorical anguishing mountain climb barefooted on a sharp stone terrain, in comparison to the man in front of him who already reached the position of a bodhisattva as a child, one might ridicule every effort Subaru will ever make. But red-haired bodhisattva smiles and nods. Subaru-kun is a kind person. Subaru looked away, blushing. Don't embarrass me, idiot. Hee, your reactions are so funny. Subaru was now red as a tomato, slightly fuming angrily out of his ears, but he waved it off, anyways. I would like to try preventing them from doing something stupid before things escalate. Reinhard smiles proudly at his friend's heroism. Subaru's bashfulness reaches its peak. I want you to be there, as my backup. The incident is going to occur around the 5th of the fire solar time in the slums loot house. Reinhard nods. I hear you, but why don't you ask me to go there immediately? I need you to make sure Amelia is safe. As he was saying those words that flew as naturally as a creek, and once the sobering cold water of realization hit Subaru's face, twisting it to portray the look of melancholic heartbreak. What the final eye of enlightenment, the eye of Buddha means, and what the meaning of the namesake 6 eyes means for the one above Buddha. Now is not the time for such revelation. Although unaware Subaru was in the process of cleansing his relationship with Amelia of all the soot covering it. I can't believe it only dawned on me as I spoke it out. I think I knew it all along, I just didn't want to admit it. All that time we spent together, all those moments we shared. They will never happen, despite that. Subaru, Reinhard noticed his friend's agony. I know myself the best, Reinhard. I am a person that's not trustworthy. I am not reliable. Slowly, leisurely Subaru's demeanor changed, crossing the threshold of bitterness and steadily arriving at a sharp resolve. That's not true. Frowning, Reinhard attempted to find proof to dismiss his friend's self-deprecating outbursts. Subaru shakes his head. Even though I asked you for help, I can't tell you the entire truth. But this was not working. It was time to change the tactic and assume a pleading puppy dog-eyed somber smile. Please, Reinhard, only you can reassure Amelia that she will get help. Reinhard was a bit ashamed for not being able to help out more. Because you're the greatest of knights. Remember something or someone? Reinhard shakes his head. Subaru-kun, I'm not worthy of such praise. And now, after humbling himself, the only option left is to lower his head in shame. But lift your head to the world's strongest. Subaru takes off his glasses while extending his hand. Let's go save the day, together. They shake their hands, smiling from ear to ear.
Okay, sadly chapter is over, and large thanks to Tony Kale for this amazing story. If you enjoyed it, just leave a like and subscribe with a post notification, so when the chapter is ready, you will be notified. Okay, see you next one, bye.